Hello. So we have a really full crowd tonight. We have a lot of speaker comments. So I'm going to start the meeting. And if you would all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Right hand over your heart. Ready to begin. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and if we can please get a roll call, Shannon.
Councilmember Villaseñor.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Edmonds.
I'm here.
Mayor McCall.
I'm here.
Councilmember Alex.
I'm here.
And Councilmember Austin.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And if I can get an approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
Very good. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, so we have some presentations this evening, and I'm going to read those here from the dais. So let me pull myself together here. Okay, the first one we have here, this microphone is goofy. Hold on. Let me make it work better for me. Okay, so the first proclamation we have is for Bike Month. And whereas for more than a century, bicycling has been an important part of the lives of many Americans, and today, residents of all ages throughout Fillmore and Ventura County engage in bicycling for transportation, recreation, fitness, and fun. And whereas bicycling is an efficient form of transportation and others independent mobility for many traveling between work, school, and home, and whereas the use of bicycles for transportation benefits all residents of Fillmore as it eases traffic congestion, produces no air pollution, and lowers public funding of highway maintenance and construction, and whereas bicycling is recognized as an activity that can delay the onset of chronic disease and childhood obesity, and consideration of bicycling in public planning will help ease the healthier and more active communities. And whereas bicycling offers a unique perspective from which residents and visitors may discover Fillmore's natural beauty. And whereas Bike Month provides an opportunity to increase public awareness of the many benefits of bicycling, promote bicycle safety, and encourage bike riding through organized activities such as Bike to Work Day, which is Friday, May 20th, club rides, family rides, and bike rodeos for children. I, Diane McCall, the mayor of the city of Fillmore, California, hereby proclaim May as Bike Month in the city of Fillmore. In witness hereof, I have set my hand and caused the seal of the city to be affixed to this on the 10th day of May 2022. And I will also say that city of Fillmore every year sponsors a bike rodeo, which just occurred. Fantastic event. We provide bicycles, we provide helmets for a lot of children that need those items, and it was a very successful event. So thank you very much. Okay, our next proclamation is for Mental Health Awareness Month, which is May 2022. Whereas there is a proven connection between good mental health and overall personal health, and whereas, according to the World Health Organization, over 450 million people suffer from a mental illness, and whereas suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States and the second leading cause of death among people ages 10 to 34, and 90% of people who die by suicide have an underlying mental illness. And whereas only about 1 in 2 people with a serious form of mental illness seeks treatment for their mental illness, and whereas good mental health is critical to the well-being of our families, communities, school, and businesses, and whereas public education and civic activities can encourage mental health and help improve the lives of individuals and families affected by mental illness, and whereas people with mental health recover if given the necessary services and support in their communities, and whereas every citizen and community can make a difference in helping end the silence and stigma that for too long have surrounded mental health illness and discouraged people from getting help. And now, therefore, I, Diane McCall, the mayor of the city of Fillmore, California, hereby proclaim May as Mental Health Awareness Month in the city of Fillmore. And the other thing that I would just like to mention is the City of Fillmore is at our Councilmember Cristina Villaseñor. She has helped assist put together a mental health fair, which is happening this upcoming Saturday. It's going to be at the Fillmore Unified School Administration Building, and that address is 627 Sesame. I think everybody knows where that is. It is happening from 11 to 2. It's a great resource for all kinds of mental health issues. We've done this several times in the past with great success, so we would welcome you all to come and attend that. Okay, and our third proclamation. This is for Police Week, which is May 11th to the 17th, 2022, and Peace Officers Memorial Day, which is May 15th, 2022. Whereas Peace Officers Memorial Day is held May 15th every year during Police Week, we all recognize all peace officers who have been killed or disabled in the line of duty. And whereas that courageous men and women of the Fillmore Police Department and Ventura County Sheriff's Office provide a vital public service in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of our citizens. And whereas we are encouraged to recognize law enforcement professionals, past and present, for their dedicated service to Fillmore and their devotion to their duty to serve and protect, putting lives on the line. And whereas through this week we honor the memory of those individuals who have fallen in the line of duty and recognize all those who put themselves at risk every day in the fight against crime, violence, and terrorism. Now, therefore, I, Diane McCall, Mayor of the City of Fillmore, California, hereby proclaim May 11th through the 17th, 2022 as Police Officer Week and May 15th, 2022 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in the City of Fillmore. Okay, so we are now going to move on to item 5D, and that's verbal housing element update by staff, and I'll turn that over to staff.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. This time last year, the City Council hired a company called Kimley Horn to create our housing element. And in the housing element, we were also awarded a grant from the state of California to pay for the housing element. And the draft housing element was completed this December. It's an administrative draft, and it is ready to become a public draft on May 27th. The public will have 30 days to review and make any comments that they may have until June 27th. And we intend to bring it to the Planning Commission at a public hearing on July 20th, and then to the City Council in August. After that, it'll be submitted to the state of California for their review. They'll have 90 days to review, and they'll ultimately have comments, and we'll go back and forth with them and making corrections before they certify the housing element. I spoke with a housing consultant today, and they do a lot of housing elements throughout Southern California. And they noted to me that there are 192 cities in the SCAG region, and there are only 13 cities that have certified housing elements right now. So we're in the same boat as the majority of all the other cities. But you'll be notified on May 27th of the draft document for your review. I'll take any questions you may have.
Any questions for staff?
Did you say in June there would be an all-community get-together to get people's input and ideas?
They can do that once the document is notified that it's a public document.
Okay.
And they can send their comments to me. We'll send a notice out. Some people are already notifying me that they want to receive the document. A lot of the affordable developers.
Right.
So I'll send them notices, but I'll notice anybody, and they can make comments. And they can make comments all the way up until June 27th. So you don't have to get together as a group.
I think a lot of people would like to get together and just discuss it. It's pretty complex.
They can do that at the public hearings. We'll have 2 public hearings, and they can come there. And we did have a workshop when we started, although not many people showed up.
Because it was the coronavirus, of course.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, it was online.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Kevin, on that, on the community engagement portion, if I'm not mistaken, I believe in our contract with Kimley Horn and in their outline of, we can say timeline, I'm sorry, of things. I think there was a second workshop that they had planned once the draft was released to the public. So
I'll
you can check back on
because they
that.
were talking about a remote type of workshop through Zoom or something like that. But they weren't. We weren't talking about meeting here like at City Hall. I'll double check
Okay.
and I'll report back to you.
Okay, thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so, sorry about that. I'm up here shuffling papers. Okay, so a couple things. We're going to go into public comments. We obviously have a lot of public comments this evening, so I'm just going to lay out a couple ground rules for everyone. The time to speak is going to be 2 minutes. You'll have 2 minutes to speak. There is a timer on the thing up there. The yellow warning signal that you have 30 seconds does not work. So I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to tell you have 30 seconds left. I would let everybody know that, there is a lot of public comments. So, be aware that there's a lot of people that may have the same thing to say as you do. So please feel free to agree with somebody or, show your support that way. But you do have the full 2 minutes to make your comments. And so that's it. So be prepared. I might have to interrupt you, and I'm sorry for that. I don't like doing that. Okay.
Diane, there are people waiting in the foyer. Should we tell them they can come in and line the wall?
They can come in and stand inside if they wish.
So you're welcome to come in, those of you who are in the back.
Yep.
Is there a possibility of putting one more row of chairs in front?
I don't. We might be able to do that. Maybe smush. Get close to a friend if there's a seat between you.
No, I think all the seats are taken. You're welcome to come on in and stand along the wall.
Yeah, maybe staff could come move up to the tables up here so we have a couple extra seats. There you go. Yeah, they're stacked in the back corner. Thanks.
There's a couple seats over on this side.
And there are chairs in the far back there if you want to go grab one.
You're okay to have one more row down the middle, but no more than that. And no rows up front. Side doors have to be clear. But you can add another 3 chairs over in the middle if there's some extra chairs.
There we go.
Okay, yeah. Okay, good.
We have 4 chairs open, 3 on this side, 1 over here. If anybody else would like to sit.
If anybody else needs a chair, we have a couple over here on the left side.
You have 1 there. We have 5.
Okay.
5 chairs open.
We have a couple.
If there's anybody together, we have 2 over here.
You could raise your hand if you have an empty chair beside you. That would help. Okay, we have some empty chairs over there if you're interested.
Nobody? Okay, no takers. Okay, so what I'm going to do, because we have so many people and I want to get everybody, moving forward, I'll call the speaker and then call the next speaker that's behind them so that you can kind of be prepared to maneuver and step on up. Okay? So our first speaker is Tony Cervantes, which will be followed by Dakota Galera. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. I didn't mean to butcher that.
Good evening, council members and mayor. On behalf of the Mental Health Month, I just want to share just a little bit about my story. I contemplated suicide when I was in high school. So I'm here to speak for the young group that's in high school or whatever, and I hope that you guys could support them, the LGBT community, plus community, and keep them in mind when you guys are canceling stuff and they need a support and you don't want them to commit suicide. And I'm talking from my heart. I'm not a speaker, but I think you guys really need to think about their mental health. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, something else. I'm going to ask for no clapping. Okay, we have everybody on all sides, and everybody needs to respect everybody's feelings. So please. Otherwise, we'll just stop it. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir, for your comments. Dakota, please. Galera.
Trying to do some last-minute editing to what I wanted to say. Hopefully this fits within the time limit. Okay. A few days ago, I was recommended an article on Google saying that Fillmore had declined to take part in a Pride event to show support for members of the LGBTQ community. Unless it's been changed recently, I believe the motto of Fillmore is, "The last best small town." For who, though? Are certain people not supposed to feel like their town is doing its best for them? I'm not a member of the LGBT community myself, but that doesn't mean I don't also have it in my heart to spare some thoughts, feelings, and a bit of my time for my fellow man, regardless of, and especially if, they have different perspectives and feelings than me. In June of 2020, citizens of Fillmore held a peaceful protest of police brutality and a Black Lives Matter demonstration. At this event, a black woman took the microphone and said that she didn't even know there was a protest that day. We happened to walk past her house, and she joined in. She told the crowd with tearful eyes about how she finally felt like she had been seen by her town. She felt recognized and validated, and it was all because we had turned out to show our support. This woman's words struck a chord with me, especially what she said about being seen. She'd said she felt like people sometimes averted their eyes and looked away from her in daily life. After reading that article and remembering what that woman almost 2 years ago had to say, I realized how much it might mean to others to feel like they're being seen, accepted, and welcomed. Fillmore can still call itself the last small town, but it won't be the best until we show all the members of our community, regardless of sexual orientation, gender, race, or anything else, that we see them and we support them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Okay. Please, no clapping. I'm sorry. I would really ask that no snapping and no clapping. Please respect that, okay? I would ask that you understand that and respect it. Okay, Mr. Bob Stroh, followed by Zachary Lockshaw.
Good evening, council members. My name is Bob Stroh. See if I can figure this out, cutting it back from 3 minutes. Passing up an opportunity to support a minority group that has been discriminated against, demeaned, harassed, beaten up, bullied, murdered, etc., for no rational reason, only encourages those who perpetrate this wickedness on this group of citizens. Surely you must be aware of that. I see that the city is supporting Mental Health Awareness Month, which is wonderful and beneficial to our community. And the same can be said for the LGBTQ Resource Fair. It should not be discriminated against. Now, I know that some religions promote discrimination against LGBTQ citizens. I just looked back to 2008 when Prop 8 was on the ballot that would overturn the California law making same-sex marriage legal. During the campaign, early polling showed Prop 8 losing, so the Mormon, Catholic, and evangelical churches joined together to raise and spend $40 million to campaign for its passage, and it worked. You wouldn't believe the baseless claims made in their ads to achieve their goal. Well, maybe you would. But in the end, 5 years later, in 2013, the Supreme Court ruled that Prop 8 was unconstitutional and that same-sex marriage was legal in California.
30 seconds, Bob.
During the depositions of the 6 self-proclaimed expert witnesses, for Prop 8, 5 dropped out before the first court hearing even started because they could not substantiate their claims. Only one testified for Prop 8 and wound up changing his testimony midway through his cross-examination, saying that same-sex marriage should be legal. And he was wrong, and he apologized.
Bill,
I would urge the council to revisit this resource fair issue and do what that 6th expert witness did when he saw the light.
Thank you, Bob.
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Zachary Lockshaw. I'm here tonight to stand up for myself and my fellow residents of Fillmore who are also queer. When I sat in this room last month, I heard City Council members espouse actual bigotry and misinformed reasoning, and I was deeply hurt when the vote did not support a Pride Resource Fair and Pride Month proclamation. In actuality, your vote was not to even talk about it, as if it was shameful. And I'm here tonight because I will not be shamed for who I am. Last year, in its Pride Month proclamation, the city stated, quote, members of the LGBTQIA plus community still face discrimination simply for being who they are. The city also stated, quote, Pride Month offers the community an opportunity to reflect upon the discrimination and inequality that has troubled LGBTQIA plus people while celebrating those that continuously fought to create equality for all. I therefore ask you a simple question. What has changed? Our local government cannot ignore objective truth about discrimination, history, and progress. Last year, the majority of this body understood the separation of church and state, so I ask again, what has changed?
30 seconds.
When council members state that being a queer person is a lifestyle choice, they are espousing actual bigotry and hatred. Those type of comments fuel the very discrimination and inequality that the council proclaimed just a year ago to be wrong. Change in our city council is clearly needed, and I promise change will be coming. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we have Dave Wade and Albert Penniless, followed by Albert Penniless.
Good evening. My name is Dave Wade, pastor of Sesame Creek Bible Church here in town. First of all, I am encouraged to be here. I want to encourage you. I know that you have a difficult job. And like I mentioned last time, you sit under the authority and the blessing of this sign that says, "In God we trust." And you are in a good place because you can trust God. Even in your current situation of accusations against you, that you had made a vow to do something and now evidently you're being accused because you now see that by following that was wrong in your eyes. At least that's what the council came up with. But you are in a good place because you can trust in God. The book of Acts talks about a man named Saul who had made a vow to arrest and murder innocent people, but by the fact that he turned and turned away from this vow, he actually found favor with God. This is in the book of Acts chapter 9. Isaiah 55:7 says this, "Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts, and let him return to the Lord, and he will have compassion on him, and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon." So you are in a rock solid position in where you stand. You can sit under there, the sign where it says, "In God we trust," and stand firm in what you have decided to do, and you have the moral high ground. And you can be protected by that. So I just want to encourage you with that. May the Lord bless you and give you strength in honoring Him. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Andrea Madrigal, followed by Brisa Romero.
So did you guys call Aul Peñuelas, correct?
Andrea Madrigal. Oh, I did, but wait a minute. What happened to that one? Oh, got it. Okay, so what was your name, sir, that just spoke?
Dave Wade.
That's it. Got it. Okay, apologize. My mistake. Go ahead, sir. Sorry.
So I'm here on part of the Pride Month. I'm not gay. I'm not homosexual. It doesn't really affect me like that, but it does obviously affect this community. The One Step a la Vez spearheaded that movement. You have here Lisa and a lot of the people who put it together, and yet the city is spending its resources on a police week, when these police don't even come from this community. They don't even live in this community or come from this community. Yet we didn't spend our money here on these people in front of you that vote you in, and they could also vote you out. So I'm asking the city to please, from now on, stop spending all our resources on police. We have many children here who've been brutalized by police, who have been abused by police. My son was one of them. In this very building, Roland and Garo promised to support the One Step a la Vez, and it's failed. You guys have failed me because you guys didn't speak up when you guys turned down the supporting the Pride. When you guys turned down supporting One Step a la Vez, did you know that that center provides free music lessons for children of this community, free meals for children of this community, a free place to go and to not be harassed in this community? And we didn't support them, but we're gonna give the police a week of support, our resources.
30 seconds.
So I ask you guys to think hard, long and hard, on what you guys support. And I get we have a lot of good officers, but we have a lot of bad ones, and we don't ever bring them up. That officer that brutalized children is still working here, and you guys would just say like, oh, it's a bad apple. Well, let's get rid of that bad apples because it'll spoil the whole bunch. And let's please support the One Step a la Vez and everything they do for this community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Andrea Madrigal, followed by Brisa Romero.
Hello. I'm going to do my presentation en español. So, primero quiero decir feliz día a las madres, a todas las madres, y las quiero invitar a sábado, junio 11, a One Step a la Vez. Vamos a tener our Pride Resource Fair. So, todos están invitados y todos están welcome en nuestro centro. Gracias.
Thank you very much. Okay, so Brisa Romero, followed by Michael Schouten.
Hello, City Council. My name is Brisa Romero. My pronouns are she, her, ella, and I am a longtime community organizer for here at Fillmore, and I'm also representing Coalition for Family Harmony here today. So, last year, June 8th, 2021, the City of Fillmore proclaimed June as LGBTQIA+ Pride Month, a month where we can celebrate the community's bravery to come out as themselves, build community, and promote equal rights. On June 27, 2021, we held the first Fillmore Pride Resource Fair to celebrate all LGBTQIA community members and share educational resources for those in need. It was such a beautiful day. Countless people came up to me to share how proud they felt being in Fillmore for this historical event. The city also partnered with the Coalition for Family Harmony to hold a two-part LGBTQ+ 101 educational webinar where they taught the basics and better practices when working in this community. 2021 was a successful year with promoting Pride and providing necessary education in Fillmore. We had such high hopes that this would continue to grow in the following years. However, I am sad to say that this is not the case. Last month, One Step a la Vez asked City Council to add Pride co-sponsorship to the agenda. Only 2 of you voted for it. Only 2 of you acknowledged the positive impact this resource fair had on our community and intended to honor the Pride Proclamation. This is a direct quote from the proclamation. Pride Month offers community and an opportunity to reflect on the discrimination and inequality that has troubled
30
LGBTQIA
seconds.
plus people while celebrating and embracing the work of individuals and organizations who all have continuously fought to create equality for all. Let's continue learning and growing together as a community to make Fillmore a place where everyone feels like they belong. I ask you to reconsider your decision. I ask that you continue promoting pride in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Michael Schouten, followed by Joey Lukomsky.
Alrighty, good evening, Mayor, members of the council. It's great to see you all again. You too. My name is Michael Schouten. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm a program coordinator at One Step All of Us, but I'm actually here to talk about something a little bit different. How many of you know today, actually, the DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency, just celebrated the first National Fentanyl Awareness Day? Did you know that in 2021, 77% of all teen overdose deaths involved fentanyl? That's someone's daughter, someone's son, their niece, their nephew, their prima, their primo. These are teens in our community. Teens right here in our backyard. Teens that attend our schools, who play in our playgrounds, who attend our church services on Sundays, who are being sucked into addiction at such a young age because of the lack of support from their community, because they don't feel like they belong, because council members tell them no, don't even give them a consideration. How many of the council members who voted no know how to administer naloxone or Narcan? How many of these council members are even familiar with the term naloxone? Or know where those suffering from addiction can get one of these for free to prevent that death? I'm here to understand why the three council members here on the left, Diane McCall, Simone Alex,
30
and Mark
seconds.
Austin, who signed the Pride Proclamation last year, voted against even entertaining an agenda item to co-sponsor the Pride Resource Fair, which would connect the same teens that we're talking about that are dying in our communities with the resources that they need. Ending on this, Mark 12:31, if we want to quote the Bible, says, "Love your neighbor as thyself. There is no greater commandment." So show up, love our teens, show them that we're here for them, especially the LGBTQ+. They need it. We're here for them.
Thank you. Okay, Joey Lukomsky, followed by Christina Moratti.
Good evening. Mayor McCall and members of the City Council, I'm speaking today to express my disappointment in the Council's decision to not support the Pride event and further to not even discuss the event as a formal agenda item. May is Mental Health Month, and LGBTQ youth suffer from higher percentages of mental health issues and suicide. City Council supported the event last year, and it was great, and I was really proud that the city supported it. Now this year, well, I don't know what's different, but you're turning your back on that community, which suffers disproportionately from mental health issues that stem from overt attacks and discrimination. At the very least, I think this should have been put on the agenda and not have been a cursory choice not to discuss it, spurred by a group on one side of the argument writing emails and showing up for the public comment portion of the meeting on April 12th. If you put it on the agenda, you would have heard from the whole community, heard from both sides on an agendized item, and you couldn't be able to say that because of 99% of the emails you received 2 city council sessions ago on a non-agendized item, that somehow represents 99% of the community or a majority of the community. Thankfully, we have people showing up today, but if it's on the agenda, it would have given you all a chance to at least go on the record so that it would be memorialized, and more importantly, you would have to say why you made your vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Christine Moratti, followed by Annette Sula.
Hello, my name is Christina Moratti. I'm going to keep it short. I wanted to thank you all for not voting for the Pride Fair to be put on the agenda. You have that right to vote the way you feel for not having something put on the agenda. This is a bipartisan council, so to decide that you should put things on the agenda that are political in any way, I'm proud of you guys for standing up and not doing it. We appreciate you. I'm a Fillmore resident. I appreciate you all, and I will be voting for those of you that did not vote, or that voted to put it on the, not put it on the agenda, because I do think it is important. I also would like to just state for the record that people should identify as Fillmore residents, because there's a lot of people that are here that are not Fillmore residents, and those of us that are Fillmore residents, we're watching. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Annette Sula, followed by Rose Negrete.
Hi, members of the City Council, Mayor. This is such a, I don't understand what's going on right now. Such division. Okay, it's simple. I've lived here for 35 plus years, and we never put money or energies or resources to separate groups in our community. We allow them to come and get permits to do what they want to do, but we do not give support to them. What happened last year was we all received notices on our water bills. There were people from the city helping set things up, and it's like, I belong to probably 5 or 6 different organizations here in town. Never once have we come to the City Council and asked you to support us, because we realize that that's our place. We support ourselves here in Fillmore. We don't expect the city to pay for everything. This is not an agenda that affects all of Fillmore. And so the fact that it has become so emotional and stuff because of the nature of the content of what this was about is just sort of out of the point. The point is that our city is a small city. We can't go around supporting with our resources every single little organization that's in town, and we don't expect you to.
30 seconds.
We told the people who were upset about this that they were free to have their, as a matter of fact, that some of us said we would support it. But the point of it is that's individual people, not the city. We can't stand up for, we can't do this, and I believe our city was correct in saying we sort of made a faux pas last year, so we're going to step it back and tell you that you can come in, you can get your permit, you can get supported. So please don't make this into something where we hate each other.
Thank you. So Rose Negrete, followed by Damian Flores, please. If you guys want to come in, there's some seats in here. If you're standing in the foyer and you want to come in, there's seats.
If you could raise your hand if you're by an empty seat so people will know where to sit.
I think there's 3 empty seats on our left. My left. And 1 or 2, the gentleman holding his hand up.
Teresa, there's a seat over there if you want to go. Right over there.
Let's see. Could you raise your hand one more time? Thank you.
Teresa, this one might be easier. Come on over here. You can walk right through. No, come around.
Okay, so Rose Negrete, followed by Damian Flores.
Hello, my name is Rose Negrete. I attend the One Step. I'm here to invite you all to the Fillmore Pride Resource Fair. All are welcome to our center.
Thank you. Damian Flores, followed by Eric Castaneda.
Hello, my name is Damian Flores. I attend to the One Step Balaves. I want to invite you guys to the Pride Resource Fair on Saturday, June 11th at our center, One Step.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that. Eric Castaneda, followed by Albert Mendez.
Hello, my name is Zachary Lockshaw. I attend at the One Step Balaves. I think a second resource officer is not needed. We can use the money for more STEAM options in our schools and mechanic shops.
Thank you. Okay, Albert Mendez, followed by Nathaniel Negrete.
Good evening, council members, Mayor McCall.
My name is Albert Mendez, and I reside here in Fillmore. Sit on the Planning Commission. As many of you know, spend many hours running around our streets. I believe I know this town very well. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but while I was running, it came to my heart that I should speak. And I'm not in favor for it or against it. I don't really have a stance, but I think if you support one group, then I think you should support them all. You support mental health, why not support the LGBTQ? I mean, it seems like you're playing favoritism. What makes a community great is its diversity. And if we don't have diversity in this town, then we can't make informed, rational decisions that include the whole community, all the community. Everyone's voice matters, not just one voice or a brown voice or a yellow voice or a black voice or a white voice or a straight voice or a queer voice or anything. Everybody's voice matters. What happens if there's an employee that's LGBTQ community and you're not supporting this? What kind of message are you sending them that you don't support that employee? Did we support Asian American Month or Hispanic Month or Black History Month? If we did, we should also support LGBTQ. And that's all I wanted to say. Okay, so have a good night.
Thank you, Albert. Okay, Nathaniel Negrete, followed by Sadia. Got it.
Hello, my name is Nathaniel Negrete, and I attend One Step a la Vez. First, the Pride Resource Fair is on Saturday, June 11th at our center, and I think that a second resource officer is not needed, and we could use that money for sports, or instead hire more counselors and therapists. Thank you.
Thank you. Sadia? What is it? Oh, Siaka, sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm great for butchering names. I don't mean to.
It's all right, I'm used to it.
I'm sure you are, you poor thing.
How you doing? Siaka Masqua. I'm here to support government staying out of the private sector. I believe that everyone here, especially everyone in here, that we can work together as a community to build from there, that government should not be picking favorites when it comes to small private individual groups, because that's where the partisanship actually, or non-partisanship actually lies. That's where the division that I've seen grow. And I've seen when you start favoring one, and you're called bigots, and you're being name called because you don't support the government. We're not talking about individuals' feelings. The government, in God we trust, whether we believe in God or not, this is how this government was founded. And if they really want to get down to it, then even those ideas should be pushed to the side, but that's not what the government here in Fillmore and around the state of California in 2022 have been doing for the LGBT or any other group. So keep the resources for the city to use to improve the city. There should be a partnership. There should be questions going back and forth between different organizations. But again, you shouldn't use city resources to favor one group over any other group. That's how we've been split up, because it's a black this, and it's an Asian that, and it's a gay this, and it's a woman that. How about Americans? How about Fillmore citizens, Californians? Let's start there. We can all come together for June 11th, have a great time. But
30
again,
seconds.
Let the money stay in the city and work to build the city up. To build the city up. Our kids are struggling in school because of the shutdowns in 2020, and this is the most important thing we should do with our money. It should be to the education of our kids that are struggling compared to anyone else across this country. Our kids are below standards of anyone else, and this is where we should spend our money? No. Let's spend it on the schools. Let's spend it on the police to protect everyone around here.
Time's up.
And as citizens, love each other, not rely on the government. Thank you.
Thank you. Janie Munoz, followed by Tim Holmgren, and please don't clap. I'm so sorry.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I'm Janie Munoz, a longtime Fillmore resident and a retired Fillmore Unified teacher. And I need to say that the LGBTQ+ community is our community. Very few have any outward sign to indicate who they are. You have to get to know them, each individual. The individuals I have met are well worth knowing. Many are older adults who mingle in our city with few issues. The people I worry about are the LGBTQ plus youth, who are still finding their way. According to data from the Trevor Project, they are 4 times more likely to attempt suicide than their peers. Many make multiple attempts. If declaring June to be Pride Month can save even one life by making that young person feel more accepted, it is something we must do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Tim Holmgren, followed by Joseph Summers.
Good evening, City Council, City of Fillmore. I'm a Fillmore resident. When I was here the last time, if you recall, I talked about my late son and some of the marathon phone calls that we would have regarding, well, every issue under the sun. But because he was a member of this community and an organizer in his area, he understood what the tactics and the goals of the LGBT activists are, and he was not in favor of it. Over the past few weeks, when he understood that made them bullies, and I know that that's going to happen with the City Council. Over the past few weeks, there have been social media posts, LGBT activists call to action, and some of the typical tactics of the left: intimidation, pressure, and coercion. They're here tonight, as they put it in their social media posts, to hold you accountable. Leftist activists and LGBT activist groups from our town and from outside of our town are trying to bully you into bending to their political agenda. The citizens of Fillmore and local members of the community appreciate you more than you know for standing strong and taking a stand. Of the calls, letters, emails, etc. that you've received from local residents and community members on the subject, how many have been pressuring you?
30 seconds.
Thank you. How many have been pressuring you to bend to, and what percentage have been expressions of appreciation? Continue to stand strong and against the pressure, coercion, and intimidation from the LGBT activist communities. Know that the public's support and appreciation will be there and grow the more steadfastly you resist the political pressure.
Thank you. Joseph Summers, followed by Amelia Aparicio.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Joseph Summers, and I am a community leader here in this county of Ventura for 25 years. I've been a county resident for 49 years. I've been in public service on committees, boards, coalitions, all serving the LGBTQ plus community and those affected by HIV and AIDS. I love the vital work that's being done here in this city by One Step Olives Youth Center. I've had the opportunity to support that center, attending trainings, presentations, buying pies, firecrackers, and all the things that we do to support that center. Tonight, I'm here to speak to you on the recent decision by Council to not address or even place on its agenda to recognize Pride Month and to recognize the Pride Resource Fair being organized by One Step Olives. LGBTQ plus community here in Ventura County and Fillmore are not against natural law nor God's law. They are not making lifestyle choices. They are simply trying to live their lives authentically and survive. It is absolutely the responsibility of public servants and local government to use their voice and power to make sure all communities they represent can live their lives without fear, discrimination, hate, and to protect its at-risk and most marginalized citizens. Research shows that LGBTQ plus youth are at substantial higher risk for substance use, bullying, isolation, rejection, anxiety, depression, and suicide. Research also shows that if a youth who identifies as LGBTQ+ has at least one adult in their lives who affirm their identity, it can reduce that depression, anxiety, and suicide by 40%. Those adults are often teachers, parents, friends, spiritual leaders, and public servants. This city recognized the impact of its recognition of a Pride proclamation last year, and I implore you to do the same this year.
Thank you. Okay, Amelia Aparicio, followed by Dawn Marone, followed by Bill Faith.
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Amelia Aparicio, and I came here tonight to talk about the mental health fair that's going on March 14th and how our students with Big Brothers Big Sisters are going to participate by doing a survey on public transportation, and it all is inclusive of mental health. Now, I said that really fast so that I could get I need it. This is too low for me. Okay. Hello? Okay, so I just want to say that this is a bigger issue for me regarding just the presence of everybody here. And so that everyone understands, I know that God does not judge, discriminate, and He made us all in His manner, right? Genesis, what is it? First chapter 21. Thank you. So on this, I just want to say we all just need to show kindness and get along, and not to any disrespect to our city council members, but if you are not represented here, then we need to step up and be a part of the city council so that the choices that we need in this town happen, okay? And one last thing for everyone, we all need to spread kindness, get along. I know that for any of you who are from Fillmore or have family in Fillmore and believe that we need to get along regardless of our different political opinions. And if you support the LGBTQ community, please stand up for a second, because there's a lot of people that, we need to get along. And if you all support humankind and you want there to be love and peace, please stand up, regardless of the LGBTQ. If you're just here to be in okay, so those of you sitting down.
To the city council group.
The city council represents us.
Amelia,
so I'm talking to all of us.
The time's up, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. Okay, all right, we need to stop that. I don't want to have to call this to where we need to stop. Please, everyone be respectful, okay? Please. Okay, Dawn Marone, followed by Bill Faith.
Hey there, everybody, council. Dawn Maroney. Sorry. I have an interesting thing that I happened upon in regards to this Pride Month. I personally don't judge anybody, and I think if they want to do what they want to do, I'm here to support them. I think that's fine. I do think the city is for city business, and the council is for city business, and I don't feel that that falls into that. That being said, in September of last year, you guys proclaimed the month to be Constitution Month. The city's Instagram had nothing about Constitution Month. In July, Independence Day, you guys had one post about Happy Independence Day. For Gay Pride Month, you guys had an art contest on your Instagram for the middle school to participate in. You guys actually posted a 3-page book log of acceptable books for kindergarten and up on Gay Pride. Being a mother of 4, I can tell you that elementary school children do not really understand exactly all these pronouns, and they should just be able to focus on being kids and not focus on any type of sexuality, including a heterosexual sexuality. Kids need to be kids. I do not appreciate our veterans being ignored on the Instagram. Why are we not posting books about our Constitution, the way our country was formed? Why aren't kids doing artwork and being supported that way for our
country, the people who've died for this country, but they're doing artwork for Gay Pride Month, and that's the only thing that is showing up that your Instagram is giving out to our
Time's up.
city. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Bill Faith, followed by Roberta Medina.
Could I ask a procedural question to the group before my time begins? Is that possible?
I've actually already started your time, but go ahead and tell me, what's the question?
In the 42 years I've lived here, and the 16 or 18 times I've come here, I've always had to identify myself that where I live...
It's not, we don't have to ask that question by law, so I understand your question.
It used to be asked.
That's okay.
And that reminds me that my wife and I, when we lived in New England for a short time, we went to some town meetings in New England. And in those town meetings in New England, anyone could come in, but you had to go ahead and raise your hand and say you were a city, you lived in this town.
Bill, I've started your time, just letting you know.
I understand.
Okay.
I didn't come for this. I actually came because I got cut off today, and I've been here a number of times talking about the fact that I believe we do need. 8 or 9 years ago, we had a motorcycle police officer here, and it was fine. It was working well, and I think the traffic was slowing down, and that's gone. That was about 8 years ago, and the traffic can be pretty hectic, very hectic here. People come through town going to Ventura, etc. They're coming through at 45 and 55, and we need that police, that motorcycle officer back so we can give some summonses to those people. I didn't come for this other thing tonight. I lost my head because I don't think that it's fair that I should be on the soapbox on this side of the counter. I came to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And good night, all of you.
Okay.
That we have
Gracious. Okay. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Please stop. We need to be respectful, right? We're here asking for respect. That's not respectful. And I understand he wasn't respectful, but we need to be held to a higher standard, so please. Thank you. Okay, Roberta Medina, followed by Kabir Sagu. Go ahead, please.
Hi. I live in Fillmore, and I've lived here for 4 years. I grew up in the LA County area, and my husband, we've traveled a bit because he was in the Air Force. I'm grateful to the city council members that are deciding not to support the LGBTQ Pride events. Unfortunately, there's some council members that do support this, and they're bringing people from out of town, and that's not right. If One Step a la Veste or whatever the little organization that you guys promote, if that's supporting it, then that's fine. But I don't think city money should be going to that. Government, like that gentleman said before, government should stay out of our business. The money here should be to educate these children. They need help. They've been muzzled and, just horrible this last couple of years. So they really do need help in school. We need money for our police, and that's where our fund should be going. All I'm saying is Fillmore is a family-friendly community, and it should stay that way. We support you, and we hope and pray that you're not bullied anymore. We're aware that people are trying to do this, and they come from different areas. And just remember, in God we trust. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Kabir Sagu, followed by Angel Castanon.
Hi, good evening, City Council. My name is Kabir Sagu, and I'm here to publicly denounce the thuggish bullying behavior of One Step a la Veste toward the City Council. You guys had voted to not put that particular event on the agenda, and I applaud you for holding steadfast in that. As a 501c3 nonprofit started by Mayor Pro Tem Lynn Edmonds, One Step a la Veste cannot do any lobbying to influence any legislation. It's in fact illegal. And today I brought a tax-exempt organization complaint. I brought 50 copies for people who would like to file a complaint against One Step Alaves for breaking the law. And I ask that your city council remain steadfast and do not be complicit in One Step Alaves's expansion of the scope. It's supposed to be a youth center. It's supposed to do good things for the community. It has nothing to do with any gender issues that certain particular people who run it now have their own personal belief on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Angel Castanon, followed by Mary Bennett.
Hello, City Council. My name is Angel Castañon. I am a resident of Fillmore, going on to my second year, having moved from Piru. Well, I have gone to school here ever since the 8th grade in the middle school, and I have grown up here. Volunteered to distribute food, participate in the mentor program at the high school, participate in sports, clubs, and so on. I come here before you all to sponsor support for the Pride Resource Fair. The event last year was greatly enjoyed by many members of the community, bringing folks together to learn about the various resources that are available to them, regardless of sexual and gender orientation, including those who may not identify within the LGBTQ+ community. The council should show whole support for the event, as it shows that the council has the community in mind, especially those who go unseen, unheard, and ignored. So again, I ask for the council to show support for the resource fair and to do so objectively, as there is separation between church and state, and the beliefs of others should not supersede the beliefs of everyone. Despite all that, was it not in the Bible to love thy neighbor as you love yourself? It's also only political if you make it political, and I don't know where this quote-unquote hate is coming from. I also remember learning about pronouns in elementary, and I remember learning about the sacrifices of our heroes of our great country in school and making countless historical presentations as well. Once again, I ask for the council to support the resource fair, for are we not also a part of the community you are to represent and serve? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mary Bennett, followed by Rhonda Taylor.
Mayor and City Council, I've noticed at this meeting and a prior meeting, people who are here speaking on the Pride issue who are not citizens of Fillmore. Basically, people from out of town are trying to mold our city's policy to get the city to do what they want, and they're not even from Fillmore. I don't really think that people from outside of the town of Fillmore should be influencing decisions of this type by our city council. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Rhonda Taylor, followed by Audrey Ford.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Taylor. This is to Mayor McCall and the Fillmore City Council members. I hold in my hand a petition signed by about 90 or so people. The petition says, "We, the undersigned, are all residents of the city of Fillmore. We acknowledge that the majority of you were not in favor of putting city support and financial help for the LGBTQ Pride Fair on the agenda. We commend you for that. We oppose the city becoming involved in it. The LGBTQ minority group is free to put on their own fair, the same as any other group of people in our city, but the city should not officially support nor sponsor it. We simply thank you for taking the stand that you have and encourage you to stand firm with your decision." And I'll give the copies of these to the young ladies over here.
Thank you very much. So Audrey Ford, followed by Linda Wright.
Good evening, City Council and Mayor McCall. My name is Audrey Ford, and my pronouns are she, her. I am here on behalf of Diversity Collective Ventura County. We are a nonprofit, and our mission is to provide advocacy, visibility, and support wellness for the LGBTQ community here in Ventura County. We do this work through our Community Resource Center, our community building events, and our programs. We have been here and the home of the LGBTQ community and the home of Ventura County Pride since 2014. And we have supported Pride events across the county ever since then, and including last year's first Fillmore's Pride Resource Fair. A national survey by GLSEN found that 85% of LGBTQ plus youth report experiencing bullying at school. And we know from personal accounts that students here in this county have reported bullying in schools. And Pride festivals and events like the Fillmore Pride Resource Fair support LGBTQ plus youth in feeling welcomed in their community and feeling supported by their adults in their lives. When LGBTQ youth feel supported by accepting behaviors and healthy outcomes by supporting them in their daily lives, that can lead to higher self-esteem, the belief that they can have relationships with close family members, the belief that they can actually be a happy and healthy adult, and overall just better mental health and wellness.
30 seconds.
This is your opportunity to tell our LGBTQ youth community that you see them, that you hear them, and that they belong. Because if you've not known what it's felt like to not be or to not feel like you belong, it's not a good feeling. And that's why we see a lot of negative health outcomes in our community. But on behalf of our board and staff and Diversity Collective in Ventura County, we call on the Fillmore Council to honor the 2021 Pride Proclamation and support the 2022 Fillmore Pride Resource Fair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Linda Wright, followed by Jesse Oliveras. Sorry.
Good evening, council members. My name is Linda Wright. I wanted to come here to support the city council members who voted against supporting the Gay Pride event because it would have opened up a whole other organized agenda. Nothing sexual belongs in the public square, belongs in the bedroom. And it does not belong in government. So with that said, the city council has spoken, and I applaud the three of you who have. I encourage all of you to not allow yourselves to be bullied, get bullied, or feel bullied, because that's their tactics. This is not the time to back down, and it is okay to say no. I back you, I back the blue, and I back the sign above. God bless you all.
Thank you very much. Okay, Jesse Oliveras, followed by Deborah Galarza.
Hello, this is my first time talking, so good afternoon, good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I really love that sign up there, God We Trust, and God has given us freedom, free will. We can't go along with breaking laws without facing consequences, whether it's driving, drunk driving, whether it's running into someone's home and stealing things out, or running a red light. We have to go by the laws of the land. We also have laws that God gave us, the freedom to pick the laws that He gave us. There is scriptures, 8 different places in the scriptures where He says about the life of homosexuality, how they live, and what is the moral law. We have to go by His law, or we will face consequences if we allow it to be put out there, like flaunt it or whatever, to live that kind of a lifestyle, to advertise it. I have family members in my family that I love dearly. We are to love them and pray for them, not put them down or anything, but pray for them, that God will enlighten them so that they can face Him someday when they meet Him face to face. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. So Deborah Galarza, followed by Andres Casas.
Hello, my name's Deborah Galarza. I've lived in Fillmore since 1977, and I can say without a doubt that a lot of the people here that have spoken on this are from Fillmore, indeed. They're not people who have been brought in as, you know, to make a case. These people are representative of our community. Now, for the city to whether or not you want to support it, but to come down and absolutely ostracize and say you're not going to have anything to do with the gay pride thing, when in fact it could bring revenue into your town. It can bring into our town. It can bring revenue in, and it also opens doors for the LGBTQ community. And to exclude them, I feel, is a crime. It's not fair, whether you're religious or not. To love your brother as yourself, you know, it doesn't really matter. And I have to say, the King James Bible was commissioned by King James. He was gay. How many of your kids watch Sesame Street, grew up in Sesame Street? Jim Henson, gay. How many of you have pictures of the Last Supper up at your house or in your church? Guess what? Leonardo da Vinci, gay. Can you imagine excluding these people from our history, from our lives, from our culture? I'm just saying you should include everybody, and shame on you for not including everybody, regardless of your religion. Whether you support it or not, it shouldn't have been put on the agenda, or should brought up, of course, to the agenda without you considering everyone in your community. Everyone should have a fair shake. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, so Andres Casas, followed by Joe Stevens.
Good evening, Mayor McCall and council members. My name is Andres Casas. My preferred pronouns are he, him, his. I live on Taylor Lane here in Fillmore. I was raised in Fillmore. I have amazing parents, Amalia and Victor Casas, who Victor was also raised in Fillmore. And I am gay. And being gay is not a lifestyle choice. It's not something to be politicized or a political agenda. It is something that is very hard. And unfortunately, it's still hard in 2022, and it shouldn't be. When I was in Fillmore High School, circa 2007, it was very hard, and I too contemplated suicide. Thankfully, I had amazing family, like my beloved sister, Karina, and I was able to come out to her. She is no longer with us, God rest her soul. But yes, I basically want to say with the time I have left is that, like what was said before, there's going to be people that unfortunately do take their lives and do think that who they are is wrong. But as the city of Fillmore, you have the opportunity to tell them that you do matter and that you are seen and that we're going to allow a space for you. Nothing like not necessarily resources or money, but just we have this space for you and we acknowledge you and you can be here, you belong. Thank you so much for hearing us out and have a good evening.
Thank you very much. Okay, Joe Stevens, followed by Jennifer Hernandez.
Hi, it's actually JD.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Hi. Okay. This is hard to talk into. Cool. Hi, I'm JD. I am a mental health advocate. I am also a suicide survivor and a member of the LGBTQ community. You mentioned earlier the importance of proclaiming May for mental health because suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. As a suicide survivor and an advocate of mental health, I think it is important to stand in support of the LGBTQ community and in support of Pride. You have a responsibility. You don't have to agree, but you do have to stand up for people that are in this community that you don't necessarily agree with. Whether they believe in the Bible, whether they're Muslim, whether they're Jewish, whether they're atheist, whether they're LGBTQ, it doesn't matter if it's a minority. They're not asking for financial backing and they're not trying to bully. They're trying to be included. They're trying to say, I belong here. And there's a responsibility in this community to make people feel like they belong.
30 seconds.
So that they don't commit the same suicide that so many people fall to, that I almost fell prey to. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Jennifer Hernandez, followed by Luis Rodriguez.
Hello. My name is Jennifer Hernandez. I'm a resident of Fillmore. I'm raising 2 children here, and I just want to echo the other comments in support of city sponsorship of Pride and a Pride Month proclamation. And I'd like to point out that it costs nothing financially to support the LGBTQ community by lending your logo to events and organizations that support and empower that community to thrive with joy. And as many other people spoke to here tonight, the costs in terms of detrimental mental health impacts of a community that don't support LGBTQ people to be who they are, right? This is not an agenda or a choice. It's who people were born as or finding themselves to be, are heavy. Those costs are heavy, as many people spoke to tonight. And I just want to commend the youth of One Step LFS. I'm also on their board for being here tonight and for and being empowered to advocate for themselves and for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Luis Rodriguez, followed by Karina Sandford.
Hello. Hi. My name is Luis Rodriguez. I want to start off by saying that I love this town. There's very few things I love more than this town. I grew up in North Fillmore, and I've met probably all of you, some briefly, some more in depth. I actually experienced my first white elephant with Miss Lynn Edmonds and Ricardo Miranda and a few other people that used to be involved in the One Step Alaves group. But I'm here to show support for the Mental Health Awareness Month as somebody who has struggled with mental health and mental illness as a child, and somebody who has had family members who did commit suicide. Every time I drive down A Street and I see the signs near the kind of close to the fire department, it kind of lifts me up a little bit, knowing that we're all in this and in community together. And so that's one of the things I wanted to speak on. Another thing I wanted to speak on is bullying. So when I started speaking on semi-public platforms about my personal beliefs and my personal feelings, I was attacked, I was bullied, I was screenshotted and shared, and conversation started going into my fiance's phone and all these different things where my fiance is crying. She's worried about my safety. My mother's calling me. She's saying what's going on Facebook, all this stuff. So I just want to let everyone know that whether you are conservative, whether you are not conservative, whether you are atheist, Christian, I mean, we're all in this together, and I appreciate keeping government out of personal beliefs and divisive subjects. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm not sure if it's Karina or Karina, sorry about that, followed by Andrea Enriquez.
Hello, good evening. My name is Karina Sandford. I'm a resident of Fillmore. I started with Lynn Edmonds with the One Step Alaves when I was still in high school, 2009, and I'm so proud of how far it's come. And when we started, it was just a vision, and to see this vision come, I can't tell you how proud I am as a brown LGBTQ woman resident of Fillmore that we have at least the talk of Pride Month. I've come and gone from Fillmore between college and jobs and other careers, and I felt more at home in other places because I knew I wouldn't be seen here and I wouldn't be heard here. So to the high school students or to those adults or whoever who might be questioning or considering, am I gonna go to hell for who I am, like I did? We hear you and we see you. So I hope that you'll reconsider your choices. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Andrea Enriquez, followed by Stephen Auclair.
Hi, thank you. My name is Andrea Enriquez. I've been a community member here at Fillmore for 30 plus years, and I love the small town vibes and everything about this small town. And so what I want to say is I don't expect the city of Fillmore to spend money on our personal political agendas, such as paying for a Pride Resource Fair. So I do thank you guys for not wanting to follow through and supporting that. It's not something I want to see in our community, because once you open the doors to support something like the fair, there'll be pressure to support other LGBTQ plus events, and I have a growing family. I have 2 boys, and it's just not something I want to see growing in our small town. I thank you again for just standing firm by not supporting the Pride Resource Fair this year. Thank you.
Thank you. So Stephen Auclair, followed by Diane Sutton.
Hello, City Council. Before I start, I just want to ask all the council members to write down a name and everybody in the audience to please search on their phone for a name. It's actually not directly related to what everybody else has been speaking about, but it's about Larry King. I hope you write down his name. Not the Larry King from CNN, but one from our community, somebody born at Ventura County Medical Center. He lived right here in our own county. He could have been a resident of Fillmore. He went to school one day here in our county on Valentine's Day. He expressed his interest in a male classmate. That was his last day. He was shot to death by a fellow student because of a lack of hate, because of hate by that student and a lack of understanding among the youth and the administrators to recognize the services that were needed. The murder of Larry King on February 14, 2008, at E.O. Green Elementary School in Oxnard is considered the worst act of hate against the LGBTQ+ community since the killing of Matthew Shepard in the 1990s. Larry, I have a close connection with, not because I knew him, but because I'm only a few days younger. He would be turning 30 next year. Remember Larry.
30 seconds.
Save the Larrys in Fillmore. Based on statistics, there are over 1,000 Larrys in Fillmore. That means those in the LGBTQ community. So when you voted against them, you voted against 1,000 Larrys in the community. Save the children in our community. Don't feed the hate, which you are. Don't defund their resources. Save the Larrys. Thank you.
Thank you. Diane Sutton, followed by Rebecca Enriquez.
Hello, thank you for letting me speak. Don't have it organized in my mind. A million thoughts go through my head as I'm listening to these commentaries. A little concerned about One Step LFS. It's a community organization that takes on marginalized people, marginalized youth in our community. And for some reason, very myopic in concentrating on the gay or LGBT community, where I think there would be a lot more support if it was focusing on mental health issues. I myself, with 5 children, the odds are pretty high that I myself experienced issues with mental health, and there was nothing available, NAMI or something. But I don't know why we're focused on the LGBT only. I think it's loneliness. I think, which is horrible. I pray for days of loneliness. I have a lot of children at my house all the time, but I know that it probably is a very sad thing to feel like you're marginalized and not loved. I can't quite understand, or I can't understand what these people may be feeling, but I don't think Fillmore is a place that draws a lot of hatred. I really don't. I've lived here over 30 years, and I don't see that in this community to the point. But I'm not a child in school either. By the way, I pulled my grandson out when I realized that they were going to be teaching things that I didn't agree with. But again, get more approval or more people on your side if it was
time's up
about mental health. I'm all for that. We do need support there. Thank you.
Thank you. Rebecca Enriquez, followed by Danielle Quintana.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My husband and I are lifelong members of Fillmore. There have been a lot of emotions being expressed tonight that are being used to stretch the truth and come to extreme conclusions. We are asking the government agency, you, the City of Fillmore, the council members, to keep the city interests and the city funds out of special interests and private groups. There are a lot of people commenting, saying that we are against queer people and we don't want this fair at all. Then from there, they stretched it to that if they don't have their fair, there will be people committing suicide. These are good examples of their side stretching the truth and making false accusations of what we believe. We are not here to ask you to stop the fair altogether. They can ask for the permit the same as any other group can ask for a permit. My husband and I, as well as several others, are here to commend you, the members of the council, who were not in favor of putting city and financial resources to a private group. If you begin providing financial support and the City of Fillmore logo on one group, then where does it end? It will have to be on all groups that come before you. The City of Boston just had a Supreme Court ruling against them for discriminating against one group after allowing an LGBT flag to fly.
30 seconds.
Let's keep out of special interest and private groups altogether. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Danielle Quintana. Okay, so with that, we are going to, and Albert, just to let you know, you did put in another speaker comment card, but you've already spoken. So if I let you speak, I have to let everybody else.
It's on 7D.
I'm sorry, it was part of public comment.
I wasn't aware. I was told otherwise.
Yeah, no, it's all part of public comment because that's, well, actually,
If I could have,
so you know what?
if I could have 60 seconds.
Well, let me
I'd be
do.
very happy.
Okay, so let me do this. We're going to take a very quick break first. We need a quick restroom break. We're going to come back because 7D is the consent calendar, and we're going to address that after this is finished. So public comment is now closed. So let me call you back because it is on 7D, and I'll have you speak before we vote on public comment or on consent.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to recess for 10 minutes, and we'll be back. Okay, I'm going to call the meeting back to order. We have quite a lot of business to get done tonight, so we're going to move on. Okay. Hello. Okay, I'm calling the meeting back to order. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the consent calendar, which is item 7. We do have a public speaker, so Mr. Pinellas, if you'd come up and speak, that'd be fine. Again, you have 2 minutes as in the last session.
All right, so I am from this community, I am from this town. I went to school here. And I see here that there's a cost of $257,000 that the city wants to spend on a second resource officer. I just finished talking to the kids today of this community. They go to high school, and we already have a resource officer. His name is John. Just this in the past 30 days, just from what I heard today from children, he already slammed 2 kids against the wall. One of them, apparently 2 kids had a verbal dispute, and the only person who put hands and slammed the kids against the wall was the officer, Officer John. And then on a second one of the kids showed me a video, some kind of Snapchat video that apparently was going around, where Officer John, again in the last 30 days, under your watch, Garo, slammed a kid with autism. You know, I'm sure I'm sure he had autism, you know, he doesn't follow orders the same way, slammed it on the ground, bleeding from his face. It's on Snapchat, I saw the video myself. And it's just like, and now we want to spend $257,000. I understand that there's possibly a grant or whatnot, but we shouldn't be spending our resources on what it's not helping these children in this community. The kids are asking for sports, the kids are asking for more education. They want other things, they want other outlets, they need mental health, how to deal with altercations. But the only person slamming anybody against the walls apparently is our current SOR officer, John. So I really encourage the city council to look into it. And I'm not sure if Mr. Garo already looked into it, but I already have experience with Mr. Garo. He tends to put things under the rug. And I say we have an outside agency look into these things, because we don't need a second one. We just don't. We need more counselors. We need more support for these kids. We need more mental health. And that's what I want to support. And we have great officers, but we should definitely have more counselors. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to move on to the consent calendar, but I would like to pull 70 and have Garo come up and speak if he would do that.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council, and members of the public. So the school resource officer that's on the consent calendar is for a second school resource officer, which we currently have. What it is, it's an extension of funding that the school has provided for the school resource officer. It's a grant-funded position through I think it was Proposition 56. It's a tobacco tax is what Proposition 56 was. They were able to get an extension through the California Department of Justice. It has to be used exclusively for a school resource officer. It can't be used for anything else. It's the parameters of that, the funding. And so this is to pay for, this is essentially passed through for the city, where it's a zero cost amount to the city. The school board, the Fillmore Unified School District, pays the entirety of the contract. So they pay for the salary, the benefits, the vehicle. They pay for the whole thing. It's a straight pass-through that goes through the city and is billed monthly to the school district. So that's that position. And I can answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for staff?
Where will the second officer be stationed or placed?
So we currently have 2 school resource officers. One's primary assignment is the high school. The second one's primary assignment is the junior high school.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just so we have a better understanding, so everybody has a better understanding of how this works. When we say it's a pass-through, it's part of the city contract, because the city contracts our service through the Ventura County Sheriff's Department. These are not our employees. We are in a contract with the Ventura County Sheriff's Office. So the current SRO is being funded through another grant through the city. So the school district pays us for that. Is that correct?
So we have 2 school resource officers. This first school resource officer is in partnership with the Fillmore Unified School District. The city's portion of it comes by way of a COPS grant, and then the other portion comes by way of the Fillmore Unified School District. About 2.5 years ago, in March of 2019, the Fillmore Unified School District received this Prop 56 grant through DOJ for the second school resource officer. So we've had 2 school resource officers for the past 26 months. It's set to expire on June 30th, but they were able to secure additional funding, and this is simply an extension of that second one.
Okay, and this is at no cost to the city. The city is not paying money for this. It is a pass-through to the school district, so the school district is 100% responsible for it.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so thank you. Thank you, Garl.
Can you please address my concerns about the officer's behavior?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second. Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. You can work with him directly on that outside the council meeting. Thank you.
Never respond.
Okay, so we're going to move on to item number 8A, new business, and I'm going to turn this item over to staff.
Thank you, Mayor. This item tonight is to have City Council discuss whether to take a position on Assembly Bill 2223, for or against, or take no position at all in terms of writing a letter up to the state government. At the April 12th, 2022 City Council meeting, staff was directed to place this item on the agenda to allow City Council to discuss whether to take a position for or against the bill, or to not take a position on this bill at all. The proposed legislation would shield a mother from civil criminal charges for any actions or omissions related to her pregnancy, including miscarriage, stillbirth, or abortion, or perinatal death due to a pregnancy-related cause. This bill would prohibit a person from being subject to civil or criminal liability, or otherwise deprived of their rights based upon their actions or omissions with respect to their pregnancy or actual, potential, or alleged pregnancy outcome, or based solely on their actions to aid or assist a pregnant person who is exercising their reproductive rights. The bill additionally protects anyone who aids or assists a pregnant person in exercising these rights. It allows a woman or other party aggrieved by a violation of the Reproductive Privacy Act to bring a civil action against an offending state actor, such as a police department or legal authority, which arrests or charges her for a fetal injury or death that violates the Reproductive Privacy Act under the provisions of the bill. There is no fiscal impact to the city, and staff recommends a discussion on this item on whether or not to write a letter in support, against, or take no action at all. And that's all I have at this time.
Okay, so I do have some public speakers on this. I'm going to call public speakers in at this time before we begin our own discussion. First one up is Mary Bennett, and I'm putting comments to 2 minutes again, please.
Mayor and Council, I do support the city writing a letter against this bill. I'm just going to mention 2 of my concerns. First, it promotes abortion, which should not be supported. A relevant question would be if a fetus, and by the way, that word means little one, has a beating human heart, is it a human being? My another concern is the ambiguity in the wording. The wording should be clear. The author of the bill recognized that it wasn't and said that judges can interpret the legislation's intent. They shouldn't have to do that. The wording should be clear. And one final point, if a drunk driver hits someone and kills them, they're arrested and tried. A mother on heroin should likewise be accountable. If a baby with this bill dies, let's say 10 days after birth, and the mother was on heroin, that's pregnancy related, and if that heroin caused that baby to die, the mother's okay, and that's not right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Andrea Enriquez.
Hi, so I also support the council to write a letter in opposition of AB 2223. So right now we do have criminal abortions, and then there are current laws that protect fetuses from criminal abortions. So what AB 2223 is doing is erasing those laws. For instance, a mother who gives birth to her newborn can neglect her newborn weeks and up to a month after it is born without being held liable for any criminal charges. So we urge you to write a letter in opposition of this horrific bill that would allow infanticide. Buffy Wicks of Oakland, who is the bill's sponsor, states that the bill's purpose is to prevent women from being prosecuted for fetal murder after 2 California women were jailed when their full-term babies were stillborn because of their extensive drug use. So why should not these women be held liable? And our babies deserve better, and women should be held accountable for their actions in harming the fetuses in the womb. So please, again, we urge you to write a letter to oppose this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Annette Sula.
I had a little friend in my arms just a few minutes ago who's 30 days old. This bill would allow that child to be killed up to 28 days after it's born. I have no words for how horrible this is, and it's an atrocity. And so what we have done is I have 75 signatures here, and we can get many, many more, of people in Fillmore asking you to write a letter, a strong letter, saying that this is not something that people in Fillmore can or should or would support. It's just beyond comprehension that anybody could think that it's okay. I keep going back to the fact that we have, if I'm a drunk driver and I hit somebody and kill somebody who's a woman who's pregnant, it's 2 counts of manslaughter. So how can we say this is not murder? So please, and here's the 75, and I'm going to turn them over to your clerk. And like I said, there are many, many more people in Fillmore. These are all Fillmore residents saying this is something we really want our city to stand against.
Thank you. Joey. And Lucanza, I forget your last name. I'm sorry, I didn't read it.
It's okay. It's Juhas Lukomsky.
Thank you.
Mayor McCall, members of the City Council, I'm speaking to ask that you write a letter supporting the Assembly bill, or at least taking no action. I think that this, it legalizes infanticide is sort of an alarmist reading of it. I think it's an irresponsible reading of it, an irresponsible way to talk about it. That's not really getting the facts straight. So I urge you at the very least to do more research on it, read it thoroughly. If you need to talk to somebody to find out more, if you need someone to decode any aspect of it, then I urge you to do so. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim Holmgren.
Hello again, Council. Fillmore. Very short comments.
At the last city council meeting that I attended, Council Member Alex had requested this discussion be put on the agenda. And at the time, she went into a pretty thorough description and explanation of what AB 2223 does. Many people are saying that the bill will not do the things that it will do. There's no way that I could do it justice by trying to explain it any better than Councilmember Alex did. So all I will say, or all I will add, is that I support writing this letter and in opposition for the mayor to sign, and humbly request that the Fillmore City Council approve the writing of this letter.
Thank you. Reverend Leslie Lanier.
Good evening. Pastor Lanier from Wayfarers Chapel Lutheran Church. Well, we've come to the state in this, the state in this state that a girl in public school needs a parental permission to be given over-the-counter medication. But she can go down and have her unborn child killed without her parents' knowledge. And this bill takes the so-called reproductive rights to a totally new level. As has been stated here just a few minutes ago, it does allow infanticide, because the perinatal period is from conception till weeks after birth. And I know they say it doesn't, the fact checkers try to lead us to believe that infanticide is not the issue here, but it is. Besides abortion, period. I speak as a clergyman. The church has always condemned abortion. I've got writings in my office go back to the Didache, which is written about AD 95. And thou shalt not abort. Council of Ankara 314 AD. The penalty for obtaining an abortion
30 seconds.
Or for making medications used for an abortion was murder. So I encourage you to write a letter in opposition to this bill. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer Hernandez.
Hello. I just wanted to speak against the city writing a letter in opposition to this bill. I wanted to clarify on one of the things that has been said, that it legalizes infanticide. The legislation does not prevent a cause of death from being investigated. It prevents a pregnant person or parent from being prosecuted for a death that is pregnancy related. And in general, I support the right of pregnant people to make medical choices about their bodies and their pregnancies. Thank you.
Thank you. Kabir Sagu.
Good evening, City Council. Thank you again for hearing me on this issue. I am strongly in favor of City Council penning a letter in opposition to AB 2223. In these times, these pernicious vicissitudes that we find ourselves fighting against are the result of a lack of consequences. I see that Fillmore's seal has citrus fruits on it. And one could say that, children are fruit of human beings, and a lot of farmers here would be very upset if you cut down their trees or burned them or destroyed their crops, whether, citrus is a tree or part of a tree, or it's actually, fruit in cartons. It doesn't matter at what stage that fruit is a fruit, it's still fruit. And similarly, a child is still a child, a baby is still a baby. And to not oppose this would be to endorse murder. So I am strongly in favor of the City Council penning a letter against AB 2223. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's all the public speaker comment cards that I have, so we can discuss amongst ourselves. Sure, go ahead.
I wrote down my comments on this because this is very personal and it's something I don't talk about. And it's something most people that know me don't know. Many of my family does not know this. So I wrote them down because it's so personal and it's difficult for me to share. I have had 5 pregnancies. 2 of them resulted in miscarriages. One was because I was supervising a group of high school kids and they were jumping on a trampoline and they ended up on my head and it caused me to have a miscarriage. The other was just a simple miscarriage. I have had 1 full-term child who then died in my arms 7 days after she was born. And she died because of medical issues that she had during pregnancy. One of my pregnancies that actually resulted in one of the children that went here to school, I had 2 pregnancies at the same time. He would have had a twin. But the twin died, and so I carried a dead child and a live child at the same time. It was very, very difficult for me. It was very emotional for both myself and my husband. We didn't even tell our children about this because it was so hard. The child that died in my arms, they investigated that, and I was devastated by her death, and it threw me into a terrible mental state for a while because the coroner had my baby and was checking her body parts, and I wanted just to have my baby and to have the funeral. I have driven friends to have an abortion. I've also seen many, many children who were born of parents that didn't want them, of parents who mistreated them. We adopted 2 girls who we met here in Fillmore, whose father beat all 5 children. Then he shot his wife because he thought she was having an affair, which she was not. And then he killed himself, leaving a 15-year-old child in charge of the children. We adopted the 2 younger sisters who had a life a horrible life before they came to live with us. Our 2 older children that we adopted in Venezuela because they lived near us, and 2 of their children had died of hunger, and they came to us and asked if we could please take care of them. And so we took care of them while we were there, and then we could not leave them there, and so we brought them back. And we still keep in touch with their family. These are very personal issues that I'm sharing with you. And I feel that if we make a comment on this, it needs to be every single person up here. If we write a letter, every person has to agree to that. Because I might have been the person that would have someone might have seen me as the person who killed my daughter. And I can't imagine how awful that would be. So I'm asking that we not make a comment one way or the other, that any individuals who want to write a letter are certainly free to write a letter, and I encourage you to if you feel strongly about it. But I have read it very carefully, and I have done a lot of research, and I don't feel that it encourages infanticide. What it would have done was protect me. I also have seen many, many kids. I was a principal, I was a teacher, I was a librarian, I was a media specialist. I did lots and lots of stuff enjoying children. And I saw many children with bruises. One child, it was hot, and it was a 3rd grade child, and he had this long sleeve on his jacket, and it was tight, and it was hot, and I said, "Oh, hon, let me roll up your sleeve and get you some air." And he tried to pull back, and I pulled it up, and he had cigarette burns up and down his arms. So I called, at that time, that was in the 60s, 70s, and I called, at that time we didn't have protective services for children, so I called the police. The police came out, and he said, Well, what are parents supposed to do when their children don't behave? I would like to see the energy that people put in anti-abortion to be matched by helping those children who are born of families that don't love them, who might have had an abortion but chose not to for whatever reason, and are abusing, abandoning, and starving their children. Have a place for them. In a country in Africa, I think it's Kenya, they have family homes. A mother is hired that takes care of 5 children. And many of these are children that are taken away from their parents, or that the parents simply can't care for them. We have nothing like that. We have foster care. The kids bounce from place to place, from some nice families to some awful families. If we're going to really care about children, care about them all the way through adulthood. Don't just stop caring about them when they're born or before they're born. My brother-in-law started a situation in Spokane, Washington, where he set up a center that if parents are furious with their children, and trust me, I have 6, I have been furious with my children. And if you're really mad at them and you want to be out of their sight and them out of your sight for a while, and you might fear to do some damage to them, you can drop the children off there. They can be there for a month, as long as you sign up to go to counseling and you attend counseling during that whole month. That was started just by one individual because he cares. So I do ask that as an organization, as a council, we not sign unless all 5 people agree. And if we don't all 5 agree, then we should do it individually. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, other comments?
I have a question for Dave. My belief is we only have to have a 3-2 to break the opposition if we want to.
That's correct on the agenda item.
Okay, so we don't have to agree on this, Lynn.
Christina.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Lynn, for your comments. I do have my own as well. Bear with me. Okay. Just about 6 years ago, around this time, springtime 2016, my husband and I had just made our announcement to our family and friends of our second pregnancy. I wanted to wait until 18 weeks, which that was where it had been, just to be sure. And it was going to be a boy to join our baby girl. They would be about 2 years apart. 2 weeks later, I got a call from my doctor. Am I driving? No. Am I sitting down, or is there a chair nearby? I sat down. Our baby boy had extreme oleohydramnios. Still have difficulty saying that word. Not just low amniotic fluid, but no amniotic fluid. The deformities that would be caused would be because he would be compressed in the womb. The kidney and the urinary tract would not develop. There would be no lung development. He would not be able to breathe. If I were to carry him to term, the weight of my organs could crush him with no cushion in the amniotic fluid. I risked miscarrying, which brings its own complications, and if I carried him to term, I risked early contractions, potentially rupturing my uterine wall, and there's potential for internal bleeding. I didn't know the percentages of this. It was unlikely that would happen, but there was a chance. Now, if any of those things didn't happen, I would have a stillbirth or an infant death within seconds, within minutes, maybe a bit longer. My husband and I chose to have a dilation and extraction, also known as an abortion. We would not risk my health or my family's future. Now I understand more than ever how very lucky and how very privileged I am that I had that choice. My abortion at 22 weeks is already banned in 16 states, with another dozen on the way if the Supreme Court strikes down Roe. Had I been living in a different state, had I been poorer, less educated, unable to speak English, uninsured or underinsured, had I not received prenatal care, had I not had a slew of tests and amniocentesis and many other things, I could very well not have known about this complication at all. I could have died. I could have had a stillbirth. I could have had my baby boy die in very early infancy without knowing why. And all this tremendous, overwhelming grief still strikes me today. If we went through at 22 weeks, I can't fathom the grief that would happen at the level of bringing a baby full term. And on top of this, as Lynn mentioned, I could have been investigated by the coroner, who in 48 out of 58 states here in counties in California is also the sheriff. And I could have been prosecuted and punished for my fetal or infant loss. So no, I don't support sending a letter of opposition for AB 2223, which ends the requirement that coroners investigate stillbirths. I support taking no action. And this may be a surprise to you that I say no, taking no action, but I will support it individually. I will speak out as I am now. I will support organizations that are supporting this bill. I'll ask my family and friends in my community to do this, but I'm not going to ask our city to do this. I don't believe it is under the purview of the city. And I think Councilmember Alex brought up last time that it might fall under purview of public safety. I wholeheartedly disagree with this. However, if we want to talk about public safety in the city, and if we want to prevent true infanticide, as this bill would not legalize infanticide, this bill would protect grieving women and their families who have stillbirths or infant deaths from a pregnancy-related cause. If we want to address infanticide truly, we should look at promoting safe surrender at our fire station and police station and promoting that. We should support universal health care. We should support universal prenatal care for all expecting women, including mental health care. Maternal and prenatal and postpartum mental illness is huge, and we need more resources here in our community. We should also support organizations that assist with grieving families in their loss. That's what we should do. Thank you.
Okay.
I almost feel like I'm the odd duck up here because I just feel really uncomfortable on this issue. The premise of this assembly bill is it shields women from criminal and civil liability in the event of a miscarriage, self-induced, or criminal abortion or infant death due to a pregnancy-related cause. It also abolishes the requirement that the coroner investigate stillbirths. It also indicates that any coroner statement certificate on a fetal death cannot be used to pursue a criminal case against mothers. I feel that this whole bill has too many flaws in it. There's too many questions to ask, and I think that I feel that we should go in opposition to this bill. I'm only saying it because maybe it will wake the state up that they need to take a better look at this. That's all.
Okay, well, I just want to clarify that I don't get my information about bills from fact checkers or PolitiFact or from a basic Google search. I do my research, and I can tell you that I've read up on this. And first of all, I hear you. I want to say I hear you, Lynn, and I hear you, Christina. And my opposition to this bill isn't in your particular cases at all. It is exactly what Mark said. It is an unclear bill, and the Assembly Committee and the Judiciary Committee of the State Assembly said this about this bill, and I will read it again. It creates an unintended impact on child welfare laws. It creates the mistaken unintended impression that the bill's immunities could apply to cases where a newborn's death was the result of a cause that was not related to the parent's acts or omissions during pregnancy, so not your cases. It inappropriately dictates the parameters of federal court jurisdiction. It goes against the laws, the current laws of abortion in the state of California without addressing or clarifying that. In addition to that, the definition of perinatal in the Welfare and Institutions Code in the state of California, it means the period from the establishment of pregnancy to 1 month following delivery. It also says that in the Penal Code of California, murder is the unlawful killing of a human being or a fetus with malice aforethought. And so if this bill, as it is written, passes, it allows for too many gray areas for law enforcement to not look into infant deaths. And my point in that is when we stop looking into things that may be crimes, not these situations, that we stop looking into situations that may be crimes, that is ignoring crime and that is decriminalizing crime. To my point that in Fillmore, we have a legislative platform, which I brought up last time. When we begin to decriminalize crime, it goes against our city's legislative platform, our city's legislative platform is to support legislation that enhances public safety and protects the public from crime. That means it protects infants, not abortions, infants from the moment they exit the womb to up to 4 weeks after birth. I agree with you. We need to have more we need to have more resources for children to grow up safely and be loved and be cared for, but this is a reckless bill, and I'm calling it to the attention of people in Fillmore and in people in California because there are many bills in the state legislature that are reckless right now. I could have asked for us to oppose many more, but I didn't. I picked out this one because crime is going up, and if we start tying the law enforcement's back on crime, we are going to be in a lawless society. So that being said, I want to make a motion that the city of Fillmore will write a letter to Buffy Wicks in Sacramento, as well as our state senator, Monique Limon, and our Assemblyman Steve Bennett, opposing this bill. It is right now in the Senate it's in the Appropriations Committee in Sacramento in a file called the suspense file. Again, I did not get my information from fact checkers or PolitiFact. I know what I'm talking about is in the suspense file in the Appropriations Committee until they figure out what the budget is in California this year, and then they will pull it from the suspense file and they will determine at that point whether it moves forward. So that being said, I am asking the city to vote to write a letter in opposition to AB 223.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second motion.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Okay.
And I ask that if you send a letter, that you not put my name. I do not want to be represented by.
I understand.
The same. No name.
Yeah.
Not my name.
Question.
Yeah.
And a strong feeling. Someone that we elected.
Right. Understand.
Lynn, usually when we send a Bennett, the mayor only signs it.
But you're saying the city council, and the city council was 3 people, not 5. So I'm asking that you put everyone's name down and sign it.
Okay. Okay. All right, so we are going to move on to item 8B. And this is regarding an encroachment fees, and I'm going to turn that over to staff. Actually, it's
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council, and members of the public. This is my item, and this is to waive the encroachment permit fee for flock automated license plate readers. The Ventura County Sheriff's Office is taking part in a national study with Axon and Flock Safety automated license plate readers. Axon and Flock Safety have agreed to provide 25 automated license plate readers to the Ventura County Sheriff's Office for 1 year at no cost to do a study. The city of Fillmore is slated to receive 6 of these automated license plate readers for placement around town. Automated license plate readers are used throughout the county and the state to capture the location of license plate numbers. Automated license plate readers can both be fixed, like the ones in this, that the permits were obtained for in this case, as well as mobile, like the ones we have on our patrol cars. And the data from these automated license plate readers are used to investigate a broad range of crimes, anywhere from catalytic converter thefts to auto thefts to more violent crimes that occur. So Axon Flock has applied for an encroachment permit for the placement of these cameras. They're going to pay for the installation and the maintenance of the cameras for this year period of time. What I'm asking for is the waiver of $137 permit fee that is part of the city's fees for this, since we're getting it for free in terms of the study period. And I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for staff?
No. Well, I want to make the motion to do it, but first, I want to tell you about my license plate. My license plate never had one of those things around it, so it started to curl and it started to crack. So I have taped it up with masking tape. Will that be approved, or do I have to get one of those stands to put it so it won't curl up?
So if your license plate is that old, I would actually go to the DMV and get a new one.
I know, but then I have to pay for it.
It'll still read.
Pay for it.
I know people. I'm just kidding. I don't know anybody. I barely know myself.
I like
No,
that.
I'm just kidding.
I'll tell them I know you. Okay, I am making the motion to approve this.
And the motion?
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 8C, and this is a resolution approving the annual budget. I'm going to turn this over to staff.
You've waited a long time to get up here, haven't you?
Just raring to go. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members, staff, and everybody else left. Well, tonight's the night to bring the annual budget for adoption. The annual budget is the financial blueprint for the city to operate for the next fiscal year, which will begin on July 1. Excuse me. The document before you has been in the works for I believe around March or February, and that's when the budget, the committee, the ad hoc committee started and putting it together. And so now we have a document that's has been brought to each council member's attention, and it's I think a very good blueprint to have the city council adopt for the next fiscal year. Now, I was going to do a presentation of some highlights of the budget. Because of the length of the meeting, I'm going to ask if if the council wants to go through that, or if you have any questions, we can jump right to the questions.
I was going to say, all of us have met with you and Dave and staff, and we've went through this budget thoroughly, so I don't see a reason to do a presentation on it. Does anyone else?
No.
I think the only reason would be if someone from the fan basis out there, if they were interested in it, but you can always access the budget. So
Right, the budget is accessible. We'll have it on the website.
And what I'd like to do is thank Christina and Diane for their hard work on meeting, because I've been on those budget committees, and I know how many times you meet and how you keep going over things and putting it through the strainer to make sure that it pans out for the city, and I appreciate that.
Right, but in saying that too, I mean, I want to thank Dave, I want to thank you, Frank, who helped us, Erica. I mean, there's been so much work going into this, and, you know, all the many moving pieces, and everybody's been wonderful and quick to, you know, go with our changes and our recommendations. So it was pretty seamless, you know, considering all the moving pieces. So thank everyone who has really made it happen.
Okay, I'll move to accept the budget without further comment.
Do we have to adopt the resolutions, Tiffany, or is it just the, okay?
Yeah, but you can do it all in one.
Okay. Okay. I second then.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, we're going to move on to item 8D, and this is a resolution fixing compensation, benefits, and other terms and conditions of employment. And I'm going to turn that over to staff.
Good night, Mayor and council members. I am here tonight to request on behalf of management, mid-management, and confidential staff to be also consistent with what was negotiated with the 3-year contract with the union last year. So we are requesting that there be a 3% salary increase effective July 1st of this year. And again, this is just to be consistent with what the represented employees will be getting. And in addition to that, too, we negotiated with the union last year for a 3-year contract that there be an increase of $100 in the cafeteria benefits. The cafeteria benefits is what employees utilize to pay their medical benefits, and sometimes if there's enough money left, that goes back into their paycheck as well. And the addition of $100 auto allowance for the assistant city manager and the new position that was approved just now, the assistant planning and community development director. And the position of that same position will also be reflected and added to the salary schedule. And the last thing that we are requesting is to amend the language. Rather than having the human resources director, deputy city clerk receiving a technology stipend, we want to reflect that to the correct title, which is the assistant city manager. So those are the revisions. The last revision I'm requesting is that we specify for the vacation relief fire captain. We want to make sure that we can also specify that on an hourly basis and not only per shift, because sometimes it's easier to process payroll as well. Those are all the changes that we're requesting for the new resolution if you approve that tonight, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Any questions for staff? Any recommendations?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Good job.
I second.
Very good. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item number 8E. This is the Sixth
The
Amendment.
Erica show tonight, huh?
Erica, it's your turn.
Thank you. I'm here tonight to also request City Council to approve the Sixth Amendment to the city employee to Mr. Dave Rowlands. City Council conducted a performance and compensation review for Mr. Rowlands in closed session on April 26th. And at the conclusion of that closed session, the authority was given to the mayor to negotiate compensation increase with the city manager. That took place. and we are requesting a 3% salary increase to his annual salary effective the first full pay period in July. Also, a lump sum of $5,000 as a retention bonus to encourage the city manager to continue serving the city. A one-time credit of general leave of 40 hours, and that would be given to him also effective the full first pay period in July. And an increase in monthly car allowance from $100 to $250 for a total of $350 for technology and car allowance. Sufficient funding is also in the budget, and that was planned for. And that concludes my presentation. I'm here to answer any questions.
Any questions for staff?
No questions. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Very good. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 8F. Erica, I will turn that over to you.
Thank you. As a result of the last two items that you have approved, we are required by CalPERS to have a publicly available pay schedule that typically gets posted on our website. And I'm just here to request you to approve the resolution and the updated salary schedule, which will be effective July 1st, and that will have all the changes as part of it. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Any questions? Any motion?
I'll move the item.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item 8G, and this is regarding the American Rescue Funds, and I'll turn that over to staff.
Thank you again. I'm here also to request City Council to allow us to go on an informal bid process and funding. The City Hall elevator has been out for a few months. Just to give you a little bit of background, this was installed in 1996 when the building was built. After doing some research, typically the useful life of an elevator is about 20 to 25 years pushing it, and the current equipment has gone through its useful life. Over the past years, we have made sure that we are providing appropriate maintenance to the equipment, but we have been told that because of the age of the equipment and also as part of the supply chain issues that we're having and chip issue shortage, we can't really find parts to be able to repair the elevator. So we are here tonight to request you to approve us in an informal bid process because the quote we received from the current provider was for approximately $158,000. And we're estimating that the project will cost about $200,000, just considering inflation. And if we put it out for bid, we want to make sure we have a quality competitor, also not just a more affordable competitor. And that allows us to negotiate a little bit. So the city will also be receiving a second tranche of funds from the American Rescue Plan Act. The amount that we're anticipating to receive for the second fund is about 1.8. The funds are not encumbered, and so we are requesting for you to appropriate $200,000 out of that second tranche of money we will receive for us to be able to modernize the elevator. The last thing I want to mention is that typically City Council awards the contract to the lowest responsible bidder after we obtain all of the bids. But in light of the upcoming summer schedule that we have a dark schedule, just one meeting per month, we would like for you to provide that authorization to either the city manager or designee once the city attorney reviews the contract. So that concludes my presentation.
Any questions? Do you have a motion?
I don't have questions, but I do have a couple of comments just wanted to make. So, and those are regarding the American Rescue Plan funds. This is $200K, right, for the elevator. I think a little bit further on our agenda, we talk about a tree truck, a necessity of about $231,000. And I know we also, and this will come up to council, talked about a new HVAC system for the building here at $350K. So I just want to make sure that we are aware that that total for those three things, the elevator, the tree truck, the HVAC, is about $800,000. We have the American Rescue Plan funds, but we also have unspent general funds from this year that we are planning to, I believe, roll over about $1.1 million and put them into the reserve. So I'd like our council to consider that option of having those funds from the budget that we just had, basically, from the 1.1 million, and using it for this. And to think more, again, we've talked about American Rescue Plan funds. We do have more money coming into that. I just would like more discussion before we begin taking off from that and consider considering dipping into the reserves again that we just put, I believe, we're planning to put another 1.1 million in. But correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's where we are.
I have a question for Dave. If we decide halfway through, once we get the bid, to switch over to use the reserves, we can at that point, correct? I mean, this is just saying we have the funds from the ARP and we're going to go out for a bid. It's not a bid that has to be ARP funding. I mean,
it does not have to be ARP funding. We're asking for the funding right now to make sure that we're
right. So we're just allocating the funding at this point, correct?
Well, I think that what we should do is ask for the bid, and then at that time make a decision.
That's what I was getting at. We need the bid
rather than identifying right now what it's going to go for.
Well, I believe that the tree equipment was coming out of reserves.
Yeah, that was already agreed upon.
That was already approved
a year ago.
And the HVAC equipment, we agreed to put it aside in lieu of downtown. So
right.
That was the concession to put back into the community. My concern is not having an elevator. We have no disabled persons. They can't get upstairs to do their business. That's a problem.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
But the air conditioning as well, I mean, that's going to become a problem, and both of these are definitely high-ticket items. So I would like to move forward and get bids and see where we come in. Call Next Level Elevator. They're another contractor that I've worked with multiple times, and they always beat out the big guys. And their service was impeccable, and they are local. They have technicians local. Okay. I don't know who to call, and it's no plug, nothing back to me, but I have worked with them.
So you're just asking for a bid, you're not, and saying that we will authorize it, but not saying where it's coming from right now.
I think that, it's something that we can look at. My understanding of this is it's a refurbishment, not a replacement. Is that correct?
We're hoping we could get a replacement.
Right, because, there's no sense in refurbishing if,
Because right now, the refurbishment would be piecing it, and the technician doesn't even know if they can even find the parts.
They probably can't for that age of an elevator, and it's not worth putting good money into an old elevator. You won't get your money back.
Right. And I'm 100% with you, Diane. These three things do absolutely need to be funded. It's just a question of the pots or combination, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I would like to move that we will approve the expenditure, but not say where it's coming from, and that will come back to us at a later time.
I'll second that.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so you do need to come back to us.
Okay, will do.
Okay. Okay, item 8H, and this is the authorization of a purchase contract for the lift tree truck. I'm going to turn that over to staff.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm here tonight to request the council approve a cooperative purchase agreement contract through Sourcewell for a new lift truck for the Public Works Department. The department currently has a Alltech tree truck. It's a 1991. It currently has quite a few problems that we've been faced with. Some examples are the motor is losing power, the inside controllers are not working, the lower boom does not engage properly, and often get stuck in one position. And the PTO, which is the power takeoff, is not operating adequately. The useful life has gone beyond the manufacturer's recommendation, and the truck cannot pass an all-point inspection. So staff has determined that using the cooperative purchasing agreement through Sourcewell is the most advantageous purchasing strategy to purchase a new tree truck. There is currently budgeted $200,000 for the 21-22 budget, $200,000 for the lift truck. It did, like you said earlier, come from general fund reserves. It was something that was decided upon about a year ago. And then the additional $31,587 would be coming from general fund reserves. So staff is recommending the authorization to execute an agreement with, to purchase an Alltech lift truck, model LR860-E70 in the amount of $231,587.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that if we make this purchase, through our own staffing, there's a way to cut down some of our tree budgeting to where we could actually save some additional funding and use this equipment that would then furnish that back?
I do. I believe if we do get this new lift truck, it will be put into use a lot more than our current lift truck. It'll be able to reach higher. It'll have more safety features, and our crew will feel safer going up in the boom.
Okay, so then we could actually be recouping some of the expenditure through lesser tree trimming costs and being able to handle it.
I believe we can.
Okay.
Yes.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I received 2 calls, not lately, when we were talking about it quite a while, when some trees were going down, from people who are the people in charge of the trees in Ventura, the city of Ventura. That's their job. And they felt that we were, the contract company, I guess, or our staff, were not doing it appropriately. So I agree that we need to do this. I just would like to be sure that they have had good workshop on how to do this, so they do it kindly to our trees to make sure they will continue to grow and look nice.
We have started the conversation of training our crew for
Thank
tree
you very
trimming.
much.
Okay, good.
Okay, so I'll move that we do it unless somebody has something else to say.
I had a question, and I think there's going to be a pretty obvious answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So when we had discussed buying the truck for the city, and I had requested that it be done at Bunnin to keep it in the city. Now, I know there's not specifically a place in Fillmore that does this, but notice this is in Pomona. Is there any place in Ventura that offers tree trucks, or in Ventura County?
There might be.
Okay.
One of the reasons we went this way was because of Sourcewell. The other reason is our current lift truck's in Alltech. Similar chassis and make as this one, and they're familiar with it. So that's the second reason we went with Alltech. I didn't do a whole bunch of research for just Ventura County because we were looking through Sourcewell and Alltech.
Right.
And tell me about Sourcewell. Do we get a better deal if we go through Sourcewell, or would it be more expensive if we didn't? I don't understand.
What Sourcewell is a joint purchasing agreement. So it means that they receive bids from these companies ahead of time and approve them. So it's saving agencies time in going to bid for these items. And they're already pre-bid and pre-approved contracts through the joint purchasing agreement for other agencies to kind of piggyback on. So they are already low bids and pre-approved contracts.
And I'll just add to that briefly. They anticipate statewide usage of the bids, so they're going to be much lower because of the volume than we could ever get on our own.
Right. Okay. I just wanted to ask.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I'll move that we approve this.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 8I, and this is an appointment to the alternate and delegates to the JPA.
Thank you. Okay, so as you're aware, city council members serve in multiple intergovernmental agencies. One of them is the California Joint Powers Insurance Authority. We are a member. It's our insurance company. And as part of the board of directors, city council needs to appoint one elected official, and a second could be a staff member or an elected official. In my tenure here with the city, it has been very useful as being the risk manager to attend these events. And so I'm here tonight to request city council to appoint a primary to be the elected official and a secondary to be a staff member. And I'm recommending the assistant city manager / risk manager to attend the event. The meeting for their board of directors is scheduled on Wednesday, July 20th. This time we're excited. It will be in person, no longer a virtual meeting, and it will happen at La Palma campus, which is their main office. So I'm here to answer any questions.
When I was first elected, I volunteered to do this. And at that time, Diane Petrice was the one that was the alternate. And she wasn't able to go. So I had a great time because they pay your nice hotel.
Are you saying you want to do this?
Are you kidding me?
Okay.
But the whole time, I did not understand a word of what they were talking about. So I was so glad. I was so glad when she said, "Oh, I like to go." I said, "Hallelujah! It's all yours."
Maybe you'll know the second time.
Yeah. No way.
Anybody want to volunteer for this position?
It's real easy, you guys.
Yeah,
you just say no, thank you.
Yeah, but every time every single time a council member, it ends up
we've always sent the others.
Yeah, it always is. So just put your name in the hat. I mean, the hat in the
Mark.
I'll put my name in the hat for now.
Okay.
I'm just gonna, but
Okay,
you're
Mark's
going.
gonna
I nominate Mark as primary and Erica as secondary.
I second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mark.
Get your bags ready, Erica.
Good job. Okay, so we're going to move on to item 8K, and this is the consideration of a zoning text amendment. This is a public hearing, so I'm going to open the public hearing at this time so that the staff's comments will be included, and turn it over to staff.
I thought we had animal control first.
Not on my agenda.
Did I? I know, but Jay is before it.
Oh, no, you know what? That's me. I'm sorry.
Okay. It is animal control.
I'm just tired. Okay, so this is item 8J, and this is the animal control regulation.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is my last report of the night, so. As you know, you recently approved an amendment and a service level agreement with the Ventura County Animal Services. They are the ones who provide sheltering and field services for the city, and we have been using their services for quite a while. In November of this past year, Ventura County completed and adopted a comprehensive revision of their animal control regulations. And so for the past few months, city staff that's part of a committee with the Ventura County Animal Services have been meeting, and we've been discussing the changes. And so tonight I'm here to request that you adopt the changes so that they mirror the county's changes for our municipal code. The main reason why we're requesting this is because the county facilitates the code enforcement and the citation process for us. And if our code is it's not similar to what they're doing, then that might actually end up creating frustration to the public because they will call, animal control in the county, which is what everyone would do, and then they would refer them back to us because we're not aligning with what their new regulations will be. Two things that I would like to mention is the nuisance barking dog cases and the potential dangerous and vicious dog cases. Those will no longer be part of the services that the county will provide to us. However, staff has done some research and has reached out to some other cities to figure out how they are maneuvering this situation. The good news is we already use a provider, which is a third party. It's called Data Ticket. They're taking care of all of our parking citations, and their contract is about to expire at the end of June. And so if you adopt this, go through the second reading, the plan is to reach out to Data Ticket to request them to provide us that extension of services, and we would come back to City Council with an amendment contract to include that as well. That will be beneficial too in the sense of providing follow-ups for licensing, because right now what happens is the county sends a notice, then sends a second notice, then within 3 months sends a third notice to constituents. But then after that, there's not really a follow-up because we have to also provide that. So that's kind of in a general. There's other changes that they're doing, such as general regulations pertaining to licensing, regulations pertaining to rabies control, and so on. But just summarizing it, the two major things that will be changing are going to be those two that I just mentioned. And I think it's to the city's benefit to align the code to the city, since we're utilizing the Ventura County Animal Services, for assistance.
In reading it, it was a pretty long, detailed document, but I was concerned about the fact that they are also not doing the hearings. So if a person doesn't agree with the citation, that will fall back on the city. And that really bothers me because, so if you could answer that one.
Yes, so I spoke about that also with the county and another city that successfully implemented Data Ticket, and Data Ticket would serve as the hearing officer.
Wow, okay, so will they charge us more for doing that?
I'm sure there's going to be a fee. I haven't quite gotten that far yet, but I'll come back with amendments to the contract and with the fee schedule.
Because we're already paying animal control more than before.
And it's going up again.
And now they're asking us to take on additional responsibilities, and somebody has to say no.
Yeah.
So.
And we're not the only ones that are having these problems.
Oh, I'm sure of that. I'm sure of that.
It's across the county.
Well, I will move adoption reluctantly.
Do you need to read the ordinance?
Oh,
read the ordinance. Okay, I could do that. I'll make the motion to adopt ordinance number 22-940 of the City of Fillmore, updating portions of the city's animal control regulations and Title IX of the Fillmore Municipal Code.
I second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we're going to move on to 8K. Sorry about that. And this is the zoning text amendment regarding the business park zone. And that's why Brian looks so confused. What are you doing?
And you're awake.
I'm so confused. This is the last item, so I'll try to make it quick. Thank you, Mayor and City Council and citizens of Fillmore. This is a zoning ordinance amendment. It's to eliminate the employment requirements for large warehousing and distribution in the business park zones. This is the outline of the business park. It's down in the southwest portion of the city. It's bound by the C Street and Sesame Creek and south of Highway 126. Even though it is vacant there, that actually is a business park. It was adopted in 2008 by the City Council, and the proposed zoning ordinance amendment tonight would eliminate a requirement that's built into the BP zone. It requires that warehouse and distribution facilities provide one employee per 900 square feet of floor space for warehouses that are over 45,000 square feet. That's a mouthful. This shows exactly what the ordinance language looks like, and the text that would be removed is shown in strikeout. Just to put a number to this to try to understand what the employee ratio would amount to, a hypothetical scenario taking all the properties that have yet to be developed in the business park. If you took the 0.45 floor area ratio and spread that out, if in the unlikely scenario 100% of those properties were built out at 100% of warehouse and distribution, the ordinance would require 1,032 jobs. That 900, the one per 900 square feet, from what we can tell in 2008, the council just liked it was a round number, right? But it was based in.
Funny. Mark, that's your fault.
But
no, it's not.
It was
I was
based
on the planning commission.
It was based in a number that came from SCAG, though. At the time, they had done a 2001 study of various employment numbers. Warehousing had about an 800 and change employee per square foot, and it seemed like maybe council just rounded up to 9. Whether it's reality or not, is anyone's guess, but we have yet to see it get built. The only other data I could come up with was published in 2015 on a nationwide survey, and that was one employee per 1,500 square feet for warehousing. So just some reference there, but this has really no bearing. Our total employees that are out there right now today in the business park with the development that's in place is between 104 and 109 employees. And the business park master plan had anticipated about 3,069 employees based on that SCAG study I had told you about. The business park master plan projected a number of land uses. Warehousing was but one. And you can see here it was business park, office, retail, restaurant, bank, industrial type uses. This zoning ordinance amendment would only affect the warehousing. So if any of these other uses do come in, this would not have any effect on the employees that would be, come as part of just market availability. The applicant may have other data on local surveys, because they're in the real estate business, that they can present if that's needed. This ordinance amendment is exempt from CEQA, exempt from environmental review. Staff's recommendation is that City Council approve this first reading to introduce zoning ordinance amendment 2202, ordinance number 22939, and finding of exemption from CEQA. I'm here to answer any questions.
Any questions for staff?
I have one. There are 2 houses, I think, in that group. It's maybe 3. Shouldn't it be mixed use or something? Or is this just for the, we're just talking about the large warehouses. We're not talking about rezoning the entire area.
No, it's not a rezone at all.
It doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, it's just an employee requirement.
Right.
Okay.
It doesn't change the zoning, yeah.
Right.
I will make that motion then. Unless you want more questions to vote.
Any other
because
questions?
you waited so long.
We got all night.
Is there any other questions for staff?
Got to read the ordinance.
Okay.
Okay.
You gonna read it? Mark,
No, I
you
don't
gonna read
have
it?
I could make it.
I'll read it. I'm holding it.
Okay.
I motion to approve ordinance number 22939, zoning ordinance amendment 2202, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Fillmore, amending section 6.041203T of the Fillmore Municipal Code to eliminate the specified employment requirements for the large warehouse and distribution uses in the business park zones and finding of exemption from CEQA.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, committee, commission, and board reports.
Okay, I do have some. I know it's late and we're all tired, but I'm on a lot of committees and they affect the lives of the people in our community. The Ventura County Air Pollution Control Board has given out $3 million in grants to farmers, to homeowners, to, thank you, Mr. Maxwell. Yeah. to improve their equipment. So I just want to let you know that's still out there. They're also recommending, because of the...
Lynn, can I stop you real quick?
Yeah.
I need to close the public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, go.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay. Is it closed?
Yeah, it's closed. You're fine. Sorry. I'm tired.
One of the concerns is that we have really bad pollution during fires, and it's terrible for your health. So there are filters that you can buy. They're a little expensive, but there are also ones you can make on your own that are really cheap. And so I would suggest, the suggestion from Air Pollution Control Board is that everyone have a dedicated room that you can go to in the extent of a heavy fire that has a lot of smoke in the area to protect your lungs. From the Ventura Regional Sanitation District, I got quite a few complaints that we're closed on Saturdays now, and that was done for financial reasons. But I found out that, and it's coming up soon, if there is a holiday on a work week, then they open that Saturday. So that's when you run your trash to the toll and dump, because this Memorial Day, it'll be open on Saturdays. The Ventura County Transportation Commission is now doing a very in-depth survey on all transportation, that's bicycle, active, all that. That it's being done online, of course, but the libraries in Ventura County are also handing out those surveys, and that you can return them there. But our library is only open for 2 hours a week. So and David has agreed that they will bring the surveys here. We'll have them at the front desk for people who want them, and then they'll come and pick them up here. So if you want to do a survey, pick it up when you pay your water bill, because it will be what you say makes a difference. And I'll tell you why. We have been complaining since I've been active, so that's 22 years that I've been an activist, and no longer am I, because I'm a politician, but we requested buses or vans to Santa Clarita and to Moore Park every single time, and we're the only city that has always measured up to their requirements for unmet needs, and yet we never get it, because you can't bring in an additional without punishing and canceling another one. And so we've never been able to get it. But because of this year, our ridership has really improved, which has shocked everyone, and we have a little bit more money. So they're looking into having a 1-year trial basis of a bus that goes from Ventura to Santa Clarita and back, and one that has a van that goes over the hill to Moore Park. So I'm very excited about that. The Heritage Valley Transit Advisory Board yesterday is working to arrange that transit to Moore Park and Santa Clarita. And that is, the Santa Paula Branch Line Committee, I told you I'm on a lot of committees, is looking into having a bike path that goes from Ventura to Piru. And we'll follow and they're writing a lot of grants and going that way. The Ventura
Lynn, can I ask you a question on that one?
Yeah.
Sorry. Is that along the river levee, along the riverbed, or along the train tracks?
It's along the train tracks until it comes into town, and then it'll go over to join our bicycle route. At least that's my understanding of it. Maybe Kevin knows more, but he's gone. The Ventura County Transportation Commission, in addition, is funding. It's called 101 Angels, and it's trucks that go from Camarillo, I think Thousand Oaks, and they go all the way to the county line, and they're continually going, and they will stop immediately if there's someone on the side of the road. They'll help you change your tire, they'll give you a little bit of gas, they'll tow you to the closest off-ramp that's safe. And we've had wonderful response from that. So if you see those blue trucks, they go ahead and let them stop, and you can roll your window down because they're legit. And 101 is now been approved to have a widening of the highway.
God help
so here we go again for all kinds of. I know. I kept saying, can't we just do bicycle paths instead? But no, we've got to make 101 bigger. So unfortunately, the history of widening highways is as soon as you've widened it, it's the same amount of traffic that's on it. But that's been approved and the government's moving ahead and Caltrans is hot to trot. So those are my reports.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, we're moving on to City Council reports, recommendations, and comments.
I would like to suggest that we condemn hate crimes. Particularly, a lot of crimes right now are aimed at Pacific Islanders and Asian Americans. So I'd like everyone to know that as a group, we do not sponsor that. And I'd like to have an agenda item where we talk about in lieu fees for construction for buildings. Because we don't have that. We don't have an in lieu right now. And that is for if you're doing an apartment or you're doing housing, you have to do 15% is for low and very low income. If you don't want to do that, you put an amount of money to the city that goes towards whatever we want to do to help those people who are low and very low income. So I'd like to have that on the agenda if possible.
We don't have an ordinance.
I know we
do.
We do? I thought we just had the 15%. We have an in lieu ordinance.
We have an inclusionary housing ordinance that we adopted 7 years ago, and it does say that there's a percentage or a fee if we adopt the fee. We haven't yet adopted the fee. It's very complicated how it's calculated, and we haven't been able to find the right consultant to help us calculate it. So
it's
we
just
know
been
we're
sitting there,
actually. Well, we're getting the units. When people build the projects they're building, 15% has to be low income, so we're getting the units.
Okay.
The fee usually doesn't work out too much because developers usually beat the councils down to not charge what the market rate would be to be the equivalent of that. So if you actually want to provide low income housing, requiring the 15% is probably better.
Oxnard just passed it. And so I happen to have, it was passed on, it's 2020, March 2nd, so this is their recommendation.
Brian and I will look at that.
Yeah, I'll pass it down.
Okay, thank you.
So Tiffany, I'm sorry, a question on that is if a developer were to come to town and we have our 15% affordable housing, we have an inclusionary housing fee ordinance, but no fee actually attached yet, does that developer have a right to say, I would rather pay a fee, Fillmore, like find out a fee. I don't want to do the 15%. No. So at this point in time, they must do 15%.
Right. All that the state law and HCD requires is that you require at least 15% to be affordable. You can also have the option of a fee, but you don't have to have the fee.
Thank you
so
for
we're
that
in compliance with that.
Yeah, see, for me, I don't think I think we're covered.
Well, I think as long as we make sure that the developers do as they say they will.
And I don't like in lieu. I mean, in lieu is typically for places where
This isn't on the agenda, so we should.
Yeah.
So can we go back and propose that the ordinance the ordinance come before us and we strike the in lieu fees?
I don't know, it's up to you guys.
We could, yeah.
Make a motion, bring it back to you.
Yeah, I think we need to bring it back to the agenda to have that conversation, because this is not it's not an agendized item.
Right.
So if you want to recommend that, I think we should do that.
No, I'm not recommending, I'm just asking the question.
That's called a discussion, Mark.
I know, I'm asking Tiffany the question, if we...
Yeah, I mean, you're allowed to, it's not a violation of the Brown Act to discuss whether to add something to the agenda.
It really doesn't matter to me because we're getting our 15% anyway, so.
And that's where I'm at too. If it's going to trigger us having to get a bunch of expensive
what I was
reports, then I'm not for it right now.
We're
getting the fee.
All I was asking was, and maybe you can answer this, are we legally, if a developer came in, are we legally required, since it says it, to make them pay the fee? No. Okay, so we just do the 15%. Okay.
And they're deed restricted.
Okay, I'm fine.
So I think we're good, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, anyone else?
I just want to make one more comment. Thank you, Mayor, on declaring May as Mental Health Awareness Month. Again, one more reminder for those watching. It will be this Saturday, Mental Health and Wellness Resource Fair at Fillmore Unified Admin Building from 11 to 2. And mental health is important, and I want to thank everyone who came out today to talk about LGBTQ, to talk on both sides of their passion, and I really want to emphasize that this was our community speaking out and talking to us, and I do appreciate that. And I would very much look forward to the day when we can, as a council, support our community and be in agreement that we ought to support the LGBT community. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, city manager's report.
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Okay, so we have closed session, and bear with me because I need to tell you all about it. It's very important. So we have 4 items tonight. We have a conference with a real property negotiator, and this is pursuant to Section Government Code 54956.8, and this is in regards to the northeast and northwest corners of Santa Clara and Mountain View. Our second item is a conference with a real property negotiator, same government code, and this is in regards to negotiations regarding 308 Chambersburg Road, Fillmore. And item number 3 is conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation. Item number 4 is also conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation. So I will recess us into closed session and come back to you when we're finished.
If you guys want to wait for us, we'll be back probably about 11. Just telling you.
Okay, council is back in session. We were updated, and there is no reportable action this evening, so I'm going to adjourn us to the next regular meeting, May 24th, right here at 6:30 p.m. Council Chambers, and we'll see y'all then. Good night.